Start streaming. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Besties. We are live simultaneously on TikTok and my YouTube channel. I wanted to host, just like I did with episode 1, a live regroup session of episode 2. This is going to be very different style than you saw in the actual episode, where the first episode was just kind of narrating the story. I try to stay very factual, very respectful, very just to the point. But this here live, my lives are a little bit of a different vibe. And I want to open up the floor for you guys to just be able to ask your questions. I want to see where everyone is after that video. And also, I want to bring in some additional stuff that I've uncovered since I dropped that video that is just intriguing to me, and for research purposes, of course. Why is my chest red? So, disclosure. This here content is not for Candice fans. Okay, I've been receiving a ton of hate from her army on the comment sections on every platform. This content is not really for you guys. If you insist on consuming it, I guess I would just give you that forewarning that the content that I'm going to discuss here is probably going to upset you even more. If the episode made you upset, this live will make you upset. So I would just, don't consume content that you don't enjoy. Anyway, Welcome. Veronica Villarreal, thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. Remember that I did just drop our YouTube giveaway for this month. So if you subscribe to my memberships on the Baddies tier, you can enter to win the set. Okay, let me just get into it, okay? First of all, please tell me you guys have had a chance to watch the video. 12,000 of you already have, so I wanted to give you guys some time to catch up on yesterday's drop. I think it's fair to say that most of us are just shocked about the additional marriage. And I know there's people upset that we're even talking about it. What does this have to do with anything? Personally, I was shocked because it just contradicts the story she has sold. And I have a lot of questions, okay? My number one question that was really I want to know if you've noticed her, all of her content begins in, her story has always began in 2016. If you're on my YouTube channel, you're watching a screenshot of one of her TikToks where she always narrates, in 2016, that my husband was detained by ICE and my family was torn apart. I had just started my MBA and our son had just graduated or started first grade. Okay, so her story always starts in 2016. Why did the first deportation in 2012, why is that never mentioned? So Fidel was deported twice. In 2012, their son was 3 years old. There had recently been a DV. It should have flipped her world upside down just as equally as the 2016 deportation. So my wonder is, why do all of her stories start in 2016 and the first deportation is never acknowledged? That's been lingering in my mind today. Why do her videos always start and only mention the second deportation, never the first deportation? Which, mind you, I'm sure it was equally as traumatic, right? Her husband was detained. He served jail time for a few months. He then was handed over to ICE. He was deported, and he returned unlawfully, perhaps pretty quickly. But that process that they went through as a family in the first deportation is still a big deal. So why do all her stories, if you're looking at this on my YouTube channel, start in 2016? Why did she begin narrating her story in 2016? Why is there absolutely no acknowledgement of the first deportation? She could have done the same thing and lied and said, it didn't have to do with criminal convictions. It just had to do with A, B, C, and D. So why is that first deportation never mentioned? Why is none of the history of the story prior to 2016 ever mentioned? And so then I was like, maybe she wasn't around. But we know that he DV'd her in 2011. So yes, she were around for the first deportation. Any thoughts? Any other inquiring minds that have thought about the story? I'm just genuinely intrigued. Can we stop romanticizing their relationship? Please and thank you. If you watched that video, regardless of your stance on the creators, we have to collectively agree that their story has been romanticized. to a crazy degree. Can we also back it up to the fact that her first husband was 36 years old when she divorced him and she was 18? I'm 36 and my daughter's almost 18. Imagine me marrying an 18-year-old. Hello? Red flags anywhere? Husband number 1 was 36 years old when she divorced him. Okay. I don't know. That's just crazy to me. That is predatory to me. And then Fidel being 26 when she was 8. Of course it happens. It happens. My problem is, why do we romanticize these types of relationship? Because this is absolutely my personal opinion. These are not relationships that should be romanticized. These are perfect examples of young women that are being preyed on by old nasty men. Period. My personal opinion. I was just wondering why she never mentioned that she was in a DV situation with Fidel. Well, I can only assume that it wouldn't sell the story the same way, right? Because remember that part of the viralness of the story is that it has been romanticized as this love story across borders with this family. If she narrated that she is a victim of domestic violence following her abuser across the border, that wouldn't sell as well. That wouldn't paint them as victims of the immigration system. That would make her husband the bad guy instead of the hero, and it would make the U.S. government, it wouldn't make the U.S. government, the immigration system, the bad guy. Does that make sense? So I can tell you why she lied about the DB and why she's never mentioned it, why she sprinkled over it. And, it was just, let me not bring up that, because then we couldn't paint the husband as a hero who's such a hard worker and just a victim of being in the wrong place at the wrong time and picked up by ICE, and he went through all this and now he just does this. It wouldn't hit the same. Because then if she was honest, you would have to acknowledge that in their deportation story, her husband is the bad guy, not the United States government. In his deportation story, they are not victims of the immigration system. He is ultimately responsible for what this family went through. And a lot of her story has been sold as victims of the immigration system. In fact, she used to say that the U.S. government turned their back on her family, when in reality, the U.S. government was proactively trying to protect her from her abuser, removed her abuser from the country twice, and she still followed him across the border. That would be difficult to romanticize, would it not? How would that make it to the front of the newspapers? Is that what I'm saying? Okay, so the arranged marriage possibility. So I'm still stuck on, and this is going to piss a lot of you guys off, but I am stuck on the details of all these relationships she had in that short amount of time. When did she marry Mr. Ferguson? With what time? And in every situation that I think it includes some infidelity, emphasis on Fidel. I'm so sorry, but every version that I think of, did she marry him before she met Fidel, after, during, there was infidelity somewhere along the lines. Okay, so those timelines are just intriguing to me. Could it be because then she'd have to say out loud that he came in illegally twice? Yeah, because okay, remember, and we're going to play her version of the story again. Remember that her story time is based on he was on his way to work, hard worker, wrong place, wrong time, and targeted by authorities. Right? That's how she sold it, when in fact, he was an already removed violent offender with felony warrants for his arrest when the police officer pulled him over. So, you know what? Let's play it. Let me bring up the first part of the video that I made, where she tells her story time of, how and why he was detained in 2016. Mind you, when she tells this part of the story, she leaves out the first 8 years of the story, which already includes one deportation. Okay, I am pulling up the video now. Okay, if you're on my YouTube, can you tell me if you can hear the video that I'm playing on the screen for you?
Channel.
Okay, here. Okay, YouTube, let me know if you can hear. Ah! Where is... Did I mute this? Why can't I hear? Yes, you can hear. Okay, but I can't hear now. Now I can't hear. Okay, let me... Hold on, something happened. Wait, where's my audio? I could hear it at first, and then I hit something. Sorry, guys, technical difficulties, no audio. Okay, give me a second.
Recorded this video in 2023. As of the posting of this video, it was not there when I checked this morning. Here's a screenshot of her YouTube channel when I went looking for this video. It's no longer there. She created a series of
can you hear?
story times on her YouTube channel, part 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, where she talked about why her husband was deported.
Welcome back to my YouTube
Okay,
channel.
this is her story.
This is part 4 of commonly asked questions. So today I wanted to talk about why my husband was deported. I get this question a lot, like all these other questions, but I think that this is an important story. So the short answer to this is that my husband was deported because he had entered the States illegally. He went to the States at the age of 17 because he was in search of a better life. His family was very poor. He had dropped out of school in 3rd grade so that he could help provide for his family, help his dad. And so he did what I think a lot of people do, is that he went to the United States seeking something better. He wanted to make something better for his parents after all of their sacrifices. But I think what's most important about this, and what's most important about this is the day that he was detained. So my husband was working for a company, and for those of you that don't know, we're originally from Utah. He was working for a company in Utah, and they were in a company vehicle. They had just finished one job site, and they were getting the tools from that job site to move to the new job site. He was not driving the vehicle. There were a couple different guys in that car, or in that truck. And when they pulled out of the property, they were pulled over by an officer. And the officer told them that he needed to make sure that they weren't stealing the tools. Mind you, they were in company shirts, company vehicle, so.
Okay, so she starts setting the stage for this police officer is just kind of targeting them for no reason. Okay.
Yeah. I know what everybody is, at least I'm thinking. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking.
Okay, pause right there. She goes, I'm sure I know what you guys are thinking, how unfair this is. Like, how could they do this, right? That comment right there, I'm sure I know what you guys are thinking. Like, why would they do this to my husband type shit? No, Candice, because you forgot to tell us he had a felony warrant for his arrest. But let's listen.
They ended up running everybody's name in the vehicle. And when they ran my husband's, it did show that he, wasn't legally present in the States.
Stop right there. Clocked her lie so fucking hard right there. State officers do not have access to immigration records or database. So what actually happened is when they ran his name, the felony warrants came up. Had nothing to do with his immigration status. So when she said they ran his name and they could see that he was in the U.S. unlawfully is a straight fucking lie, because state police officers, troopers, whatever, if they pull you over for a speeding ticket or if they conduct any type of stop, they do not have access to immigration database to be able to confirm if somebody has legal status or not. Okay, so that was a straight fucking lie that she told you right there. Mind you, she's been with this man since 2008. This happened in 2016. She's fully aware he has felony warrants. So when he was pulled over and the officer ran his name, what popped up was felony warrants. By law, that officer was obligated to detain her husband because he had felony warrants for his arrest that were issued in 2014 that I showed you in the video. Okay, now let's finish listening.
And so that's when he was picked up. The whole process was a little over a year.
Pause right there. That year that she mentions is the year he had to serve in federal prison for re-entry. And I want you to listen to how she describes this year.
He was moved around to a bunch of different facilities. We did have to do visits in a detention center. We even at one point drove to Texas in one day just so that we could visit my husband, because that facility that he was in right before he was deported allowed us to actually physically touch him, which meant that we got to hug him, and we hadn't gotten to do that for almost a year at that point. So a lot of different things went on during that.
Okay. So she presents that year as he is in ICE detention awaiting deportation. He gets moved around. That year was actually spent in federal prison serving a prison sentence for unlawful reentry. The way she presents it is we spent a year with him going back and forth and detention this. He was in prison. He was in prison for a year. That is a very different scope than what is being presented in the story time. Context matters, you guys. Context matters.
Some of them I am choosing not to disclose because some of those things are very personal. And if you know me from my other platforms and things like that, and I hope that you're getting to know me from YouTube, you know that.
Okay, so the rest is just follow my YouTube channel, subscribe, likey. There's a lot of pausing. Yeah, so her entire presentation for years was just that. He was detained. He was a hard worker. He was on his way to work. They pulled him over because I don't know why. You know, I know what you're thinking. I'm thinking it. Why would the police officer do this? The police officer detained him for no reason, just for being in the U.S. unlawfully. Okay. Where did you get the information that he was in prison? From PACER. PACER is a federal court system where you can look up federal records for anybody. And this is where I was able to pull that he was formally charged with unlawful reentry of previously removed aliens, and he was ordered to serve 1 year and 1 day in federal prison. You can see the screenshot of that in my original video. So that year that she lightly touches on, and they've never spoken on this. They have never spoken on the fact he served a year in federal prison for reentry. Never. Even in her half-assed video in 2023 when she said, okay, we got to tell you the story because somebody told it inaccurately for us, there was no mention of the prison sentence. There was no mention of him serving prison time. Why is that? Why does that matter in these stories? Because you're presenting that he was detained unjustly for a year in immigration detention. And our family had to go here and we had to go there. And eventually he was deported. It's a very different presentation than he served a year in federal prison for unlawful reentry because he was previously removed as a violent offender. Do you see the different context? Because those are the facts. That's not just me saying. The facts are he served a year in prison for unlawful reentry as an aggravated felon. And that's why they charged him. Not everybody gets charged when they reenter. Not everybody does. Some people are just caught and redeported. He was charged and made to serve prison time because he re-entered as an aggravated felon, and that's a pretty bad offense under immigration law. So this is the context that is left out. Why? For the sole purpose of being able to monetize on a story where they are the victims. This is where the donations come in. This is where the pity comes in. This is where this poor family has gone through all this, and now we're this, and now we're here, and now they're building their dream home. Let me send them a Venmo. Let me send them a Cash App. Do you see? It would come off very different to the public, and there wouldn't be anything wrong. There would still be people that support somebody that has served a year in prison, right? So that has never been acknowledged. To this day, has never been acknowledged, has never been spoken on. I don't think the word prison has ever even left her mouth. She likes to call it detention, ICE detention, because then it paints him as a victim, right? He was held in detention and we had to move back and forth. But if we call it for what it is, which is a 1-year prison sentence, that's very different. Catch me, flow. Anyway, I wonder what facility, because Texas is hella big. So he served his time in Utah. He was moved to Texas to be deported. Okay, so again, this is why it would be it's so important for her to give this story accurately. He served a year in federal prison in the state of Utah. Once he finished serving his prison, he was handed over to ICE. ICE took him into their custody. He was sent to Texas to an immigration holding center where he was probably removed pretty quickly once he served his prison sentence. They don't hold him for very long because they don't want to have to house them any longer than they have to. Okay, so he wasn't in Texas and we had to go here to visit him. He was in Utah for a year serving that prison sentence. But again, Candice has never spoken on that. He's never spoken on it. Why? Because then it would paint him in a different manner if my husband serves time in prison, right? Aesthetically, it's not good for the picture perfect family that does family vlogging and life in Mexico, and we were victims of the immigration system, and he was blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm saying? He was in federal prison for unlawful reentry. He never served any time for the DV or his DUI. Because they are state charges, typically what happens in those cases is they don't want to use taxpayer dollars for people to serve a sentence just to be deported. So a lot of times they will deport them before they even finish serving any jail time or prison time in those state cases. But with federal cases, it doesn't work that way. Typically federal cases, they do serve their time, especially if it's for unlawful reentry. Why do they do that? To deter people from doing it again. Because if they deported him once, he went back pretty quickly. I don't know exactly when, but he went back unlawfully, lived there for a few years, got caught. And so the U.S. government realizes if we just deport him again, he's going to come right back. So what are we going to do? We're going to charge him and he's going to serve prison time. And he got lucky with only a year because it's up to 4 years. If he does it again, he'll probably serve a longer prison sentence. Brenda, thank you so much. Welcome to YouTube Besties. I hope you enjoy. Oh, look, gifting restored. Thank you, baby Jesus. Who wants to throw a galaxy just to test it out? Still wanting free money. Hey, I'm entertaining, okay? This is journalism, okay? This is a lot of time, a lot of work. I'm putting in work here. Anyway, thank you so much for the gifts, besties. Thank you. Oh, look, I got suspended again. That did not last very long. TikTok, ya, wey, suéltame. Okay, it's because I said send me a galaxy. Let me appeal it again. TikTok, wait. Yeah, see, this way we gotta do it on YouTube. YouTube don't be doing this shit. Anyway, for me, it's evidence of another lie because you can't drive from Utah to Texas in a day is what I meant. Oh, yes. Look, I will just say this. Candice has lied about a lot of things. A lot. I promise you this is not the only thing she's lied about. Okay? She is a documented liar. She's admitted to lying. Do we really think the only thing she's lied about is that her husband didn't have a criminal record, which, mind you, is a pretty big lie now that we know the story? Do we really think... Oh, sorry. I gotta go grab my coffee. Oh, shit. My coffee is here. Candelaria. Hold on. fucking Coco running after my Uber Eats. I had to chase him down the sidewalk. Okay, and then I'm stressing because I'm like, TikTok is gonna suspend me again because there's no movement on my screen. Okay, sorry, it's intermission. Yeah, YouTube is better. YouTube doesn't fucking stress me out, suspending me every other second if I don't do enough of this, doing too much of that. Okay, welcome to part 2. Aquí se va a empezar el desmadre because y'all already know my macchiatos always get me in trouble. Okay, let me get Instagram up and going really quick so I can ramp at the same time de una vez. Whew. Sorry, guys. All right. Yeah, fucking Coco, he took off. I opened the gate a little bit to grab the bag, and he fucking took off after the Uber driver, and then there was some couple walking by, and then he went out for the couple. Fucking liability. Okay, hold on. Cheese nutbucks. A ver. What should we do today? What should we do in honor of episode 2 for ramping? What should I call it? And I know you always got some good ideas. I'll just $5 double cheese banter. Yeah. Okay. I love when you're on YouTube Live. I love the replays here. Sorry guys, give me 2 seconds. I hate when I do this. YouTube Live though, I get a little nervous, or I hate having to like pause because I feel like since it's gonna be a replay, I gotta keep going. I can't have these random pauses. Okay. Because I'm trying to get this wheel closed. Okay. Disclosure. If you were here for the first part of this live and you weren't happy with the content in this live, now would be a good time. Oh my goodness! Tina sent me $50 on YouTube for badass journalism. Oh, thank you so much, Tina. To the troll on TikTok that said I wasn't a journalist, Tina said I was, okay? Thank you so much, bestie. I always get excited with YouTube gifts because they don't come in as often, and we don't do it enough over here. Okay, so Tina, thank you so much. Okay, so we're here. All right, look. Who are the jacks of all trades? I'm even going to do the teddy bear cup today. Okay, hopefully I don't spill this everywhere. Guys, I feel like I'm going to make a mess. I'm live on YouTube, yes, and this will be available for replay. Look, I'm already making a mess. Let me go. You know what? Let me not complicate my life. Let me not use the bear today. Let me just be basic and use the cup holder and my plastic Starby cup, okay? We are humble around here, okay? Now, the reason why I keep this on it is because it absorbs the sweat. Okay. Well, where were we? Where were we before the Uber driver got here? Okay. Yes, warn all her fans before they find her way to your page. There's been a lot of them, okay? Every time I make... Look, one thing about Candice is, in her fan base, is that they are very loyal. Like, congrats, Candice. You've built a very blindly loyal following, and they are ruthless. I'm just like, why are you here? Why are you here, Miranda, if you are upset with this content? This is not for Candice's audience. This is for my audience. We here are invested, and particularly on the love triangle. I am invested in the love triangle. I was very intrigued by that, and still am, and I'm still trying to piece together the puzzle and the timeline, which Candice will never answer for us because a bunch of you guys have already told me that she's blocking anybody that's asking about her first husband. And then you know what somebody else said today that made me question? they're like, I always knew she wasn't married to Fidel. What if she's not married to Fidel? And then I was like, should I look for marriage? Look, les toca. Y'all need to find the marriage licenses to put together the dates, and maybe they're not married. For my chismosas and chismosas only, we're just genuinely curious. This timeline has us invested. I looked it up on the Utah site, and I didn't call them. I think you would need to call to ask them. There wasn't anywhere on the site where you could submit a record, like a request online for dates. I do think it's something you have to submit for and like get it mailed to you type shit. And I just don't want to leave her alone. Leave me alone. The same way you guys tell me to leave her alone, leave me alone. Our content, if you don't like the content, like, I'm not on her page. I'm not reaching out to her audience. This is, leave me alone. Leave me to do my content. The same way you guys tell me. She just makes family content. Well, I make chisme content. I make all sorts of content. Like, leave the bitch alone too. Leave me alone too. God damn it. This is not relevant, but I would love to ask you, do you accept DMs from people considering leaving USA? I get them, but I'm going to be honest, I don't read through them. I never really respond to DMs because I receive such a high volume of them. And a lot of them are asking for, like, sometimes people will DM me entire, like, long DMs that I just respectfully don't have the time to field through all of them and engage in conversations back and forth about, I need help with this, I need help with that. So I put out a lot of resources for free in my content that people will need to look for and watch and use some of their time to look for those answers. I do offer one-on-one consultations where I can sit down with people with those types of questions and, you know, do a personalized one-on-one. But I do bill for my time to do that because I just don't have bandwidth to be able to engage privately with this amount of viewers. The one-on-one, I'm going to link my website here, annie-grc.com. Oh, sorry, I spelled it wrong. annie-grc.com. And you will find a link to my Calendly, and then it will give you an option to book there. Okay. Really quick. Thank you. You're welcome, and thanks for stopping by my live. Okay, so back to my case study here. Does she have Mexican residency through her kids or through marriage? You don't need to be married to get residency. You can apply for residency just by being here for, I believe it's 2 years. So you enter on a visitor visa, then you can apply for residency as long as you meet the income. So you don't need sponsorship to apply for residency. So she could have obtained it on her own without marriage to him. She did make a story time that she married him in detention. But she lies about a lot of things. So that made me question, like, did she even marry him in detention? The way that she made a whole video talking about, I had to marry him here. I couldn't even touch him. She even fucking cried during the video. Because I was like, okay. He was detained by the feds the second time. And he was awaiting trial. Well, I guess you could probably still get married in there. I don't know. But it did make me wonder, is she even married to him? You know? A lot of things that I'm just like, I question everything in the story. Absolutely. I have began to question anything she said, all these, because I now understand some of this content she has lied about, made up, exaggerated for the sake of hooking viewers emotionally. And so because of that, I am questioning everything. Oh, thank you so much. Anson's Construction sent me $20 on YouTube. Admiro ver gente that can make a nice living for themselves in Mexico. Y también soy chismoso, so your channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. See, there really, when people say el sol sale para todos, es verdad. Aunque no te guste mi contenido, hay gente que sí. Hay gente que nos gusta el chisme, nos gusta encontrar, buscar, and that's not for everybody. But I know I have a lot of viewers that actually enjoy this type of whatever you want to call it. I don't do this full time. Okay, my content doesn't solely focus on this, but I love when I make time. I'm intrigued. I do enjoy pulling records. I enjoy reading through the documents. They're like it's interesting work to me. And it also it helps that I get paid for it. I had so many pissed off people in my DMs yesterday. What do you get out of this? Bitch, I get paid. Number one, I get paid. Okay? What do you get out of this? Don't you have anything better to do? When you go to work, do you not have anything better to do? But you gotta go to work, right? So I'm getting paid. Hello. Okay. I always deliver facts wrapped with receipts, and people aren't fans of that. Well, my platform is, okay? I have been narrating stories like this for a long time, starting with mine, okay? The reason why, this is a good point to bring up the video that I made on my live account. Where did the exposing deportations stories begin? It began with Annie's story, okay? And with a very different context or motivation, it began with my story exposing Annie GRC's deportation story. Candice was a part of that too. She was publicly co-signing Julia when she was doing that. I never saw a single person during that time say, this isn't your story to tell. Poor Annie shouldn't have to talk about these details. This is part of her private life. She doesn't have to share this. Leave her alone. I never saw a single person say that. In fact, everybody was egging it on when it was Annie, including Candice. I still remember. The infamous collab that got us here. And then when people are like, just leave her alone. And now I'm moving away from the message in the first video, okay? The first video that I made didn't talk about any of the drama. Very briefly, to give you guys context of her video when she talked about her real story, okay? So I left the drama out because I wanted people to see this, but regardless, people are dragging the drama back in anyway, which is why I'm going to talk about it, and which is why I'm going to bring us back to where the exposing deportation started. And I'll be the first. I'll be the first to tell you, I did an episode on my own story with court records, with police reports, with public records, with letters to my judge. So I've had people ask me, why don't you do your story? I did. Right here. Go look for it. My story is narrated the same way I narrated Candice's, with charging documents, with my felonies, with witness statements, with police reports. It's right here. So trust me, I didn't skip mine. Mine went first because of these women. Because of this very forgotten about collab that Candice tried to wipe from her page. Okay? You recognize some of these characters? Yeah. Okay, so we started here. And when this was happening to me, in a very different type of energy, when this was happening to me, nobody said, it's not your story to tell, Julia. Candice, why are you being a part of... Nobody had. And in fact, you guys demanded that I explain everything these crazy people did by reaching out to people from my past, reaching out to the baby mama, reaching out to Michelle. Nobody said, this is not your story to tell. In fact, it was encouraged. Candice encouraged this. Okay, Candice encouraged this hate campaign. So when you guys are in my comment section right now, talking about leave her alone, blah, 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 blah. I didn't go looking for these people. Okay? And in fact, there are things that have happened just this year, just weeks ago. We are here solely because Candice continues to, behind the scenes, attack my platforms. Behind the scenes, do stupid shit, and you guys have excused her for it and found a way to justify it. If she would stop trying to merge into my lane, I wouldn't have any reason to talk about her anymore. And every time she comes into my lane, I drop receipts on something new. In October, it was the PPP loans. This time it was her first marriage. Candice, because I know you're watching, if you're so afraid of me, if you want nothing to do with me, then stay the fuck away from me. Stop reaching out to people I'm collabing with. Stop trying to meddle. Stop asking reporters about me. Stop asking creators about me. Stop venting about me to new creators. This is why we're here. But nobody's telling Candice, just stop talking about her. Candice, just leave her alone. Candice this, Candice that. Everything is directed towards Annie. Why are you still talking about her? Annie, leave her alone. Annie, you're being a mean girl. Annie, this. No. Annie's standing up for herself. Okay, the same way you guys are clapping for me last week when I took on the monster of my HOA, Candice is in the same boat as Jimmy to me. Okay, so the same way you guys were so proud of me last week because I stood up to a misogynistic man, she's in the same field. Okay, the same way that Jimmy and Chanclas were doing all sorts of shit fucking me, so has Candice. Quietly with her little professionalism and throwing shit behind the scenes that you guys can't see. So y'all should be just as proud of me as getting up here and standing up to somebody that is oppressing me silently, gaslighting me for years publicly. The way I've been gaslit on this topic for years is so frustrating to me. So if Candice wants me to stop talking about her and blasting her for all this stupid shit that she's doing and exposing her, encourage her to leave me the fuck alone. And then we wouldn't be here. And then I would just be making content on fucking law school and Starbies and my baby daddies. She's known how I am since 2023. She knows how I am. She knows how I move. I don't move behind the scenes. I move very loudly and publicly. So if you know how I am, why are you asking reporters about me? Why are you speaking about me to other creators? Why are you seeking out other creators that are working with me? You don't want to work with a reporter working with me, but you approached every creator that was already working with me to work with them at the same time. So by all means, Candice is trying to collab with me. Okay? For not wanting to work with me, she's ended up on a month-long collab with me against her will. Okay, so she didn't want to be on a fucking article with me. Well, guess what? Now you're on thumbnails with me. Now you're on TikToks with me. Now you're on lives with me. Now you're everywhere with me. So it's counterproductive for her to be like, she just doesn't want anything to do with Annie. Then stay the fuck away from me. Wouldn't we? Common sense. If she doesn't want to be tied to me, stay the fuck away from me. Stop talking about me. Stop venting about me. Stop collaborating with my collabs. Stop asking people about me behind the scenes. Stop researching what nonprofits I'm working with. Like, the fact that people don't see this or won't acknowledge it and continue to gaslight me like I'm the one looking for her. I'm the one that wants to work with her, but she didn't want to work with me. I've never wanted to work with her. In fact, we were mutuals in 2021 because she reached out to me. So it's never been Annie wants to work with Candice, ever. She makes it seem like everybody wants to work with her. And then these other creators like Carlos treat her like some white savior god, like, oh yes, Candice is co-signing us. She's gonna do a live with us. Like, she really thinks we're all just dying to work with her. No, we're not even in the same playground. We're not. We have two very different audiences, which is why her audience gets so offended by my content. MT in Construction, thank you so much. He just sent me a $10 gift on YouTube. Oh, YouTube is making it rain today. I need to do more lives on here. I love these two because you can see like the replay. Like, TikTok, you're fired. Okay, we don't have to worry about getting restricted on YouTube. I remember, yeah. I knew she was a fraud when she was erasing my comments. Can we talk about that? Even in 2023, when I put out, when the hate campaign came out and the receipts came out, and there was genuine followers that were like, what is your involvement with this? Block. People that were just like, so why did you lie? Block. Followers that had been supporting her journey that were just genuinely asking, block. Anybody that wasn't kissing her ass and excusing and, oh, Candice, you didn't have to come tell us this. We would have, right? Block. To date, if you ask her anything that is not inside her little narrative, block. People that have supported her journey. People that aren't there just because they want to be drama or troll her, that are just like, why did this happen like that? Like, why didn't you tell us about that? Why didn't you tell us that he was deported twice? Why did you lie to her? Why did you lie to us about this? You know, which I think the public has a right to ask. So where is the accountability if you don't even give your viewers a chance to ask or answer their questions? We're just going to pretend like this isn't happening. I'm going to keep making my little vlogs about my house, and I'm going to drown everything out and do as much damage control as I can, because that doesn't fit her picture perfect channel of family vlogging and shit. You know, I'm sorry, but at some point when you get into this deep of shit, you're going to have to break character, and you do owe an explanation to your audience for all the fucking lies. And the way this story has been, it's a crock of shit. This story is a crock of shit. This story is a crock of shit, all of it. From the love story to the deportation, it's a crock of straight shit that has been re-narrated by the sweet little white lady that can do no wrong and just doing family vlogging. We've been lied to, which is why a lot of us are shocked about the marriage. Because we were told you met this dude at 18 and you guys have been together since, and the rest is history, and you've been in love, and you didn't tell us that you were married and that he assaulted you and that you divorced shortly after. Like, all those things don't fit the story we've known. The story that was given to the news stations. That's why it matters to us. What always trips me out is how white people married or kids to Mexicans maintain their two-faced, ingrained racist mentalities. My one white nephew is with a white ass. She's a Trumper. Yeah. She was a better actress in Crazy Carlos. Facts. If you're taking money from your audience, especially donations, you do owe them answers, not just refunds. Okay, so when she came out in 2023 and said, if you feel like you're misled and you want a refund, send me a request. Yeah, you owe those people not just a refund. Like, wild take, but okay. And I will just say this is going to make a lot of people mad, okay? If there's ever a concern for safety, Candice, if you're ever genuinely concerned for your safety, go the fuck back to your country. It's really that simple. Okay, I am so tired of, for my safety I lied, because of my safety, Annie's dangerous, because of my safety, I did. If you're so fucking scared, Candice, go the fuck back to your country. Hop on that little plane and fly back home to Salt Lake City, Utah, where you'll be well and safe, where the government of the United States is going to keep you safe from your abuser and all these dangerous individuals that reside in Mexico. I'm so sorry, but I am so sick of hearing, I'm afraid for my safety bullshit. Go the fuck home then. Because you have that privilege to jump on a little plane with all your kids and go home. If Mexico's so dangerous and TikTok's so dangerous and the safety of my family and we've received death threats, then go the fuck home, bitch. Nobody told you how to be here. I'm so sorry. I told you guys, Machiatto was going to get me in trouble. If you're so scared for your safety, go home. Yeah. Deja de chingar. I'm sorry. Because you can go back to Salt Lake City, Utah, okay? I'm going to get in trouble for this live. I'm calling it now. Clock this shit right now. I'm going to get in trouble for this live. And Alondra, you too, bitch. If you're afraid for your safety, go fuck home. Get on a plane, get your kitties, and go home to the safety of, where do they live? North Dakota or Northwest, whatever. Go home. Okay, if Annie's so dangerous, if it's so dangerous out here, go the fuck home. Go back to your country where it's safe and you don't got to worry about these dangerous Mexicans rolling around, you know, and threatening your safety and your livelihood. Go home. And then for the people that, here's another one's going to get me in trouble. When they were like, don't do that, she has kids. You know, because this brought up the topic of who's the pappy. It is not my responsibility to protect anybody else's kids from internet commentary, okay? If people were actually worried about safety and privacy for children, they wouldn't be exploiting them for family vlogging, okay? Candice has put her children's life on the internet. their birthdays, where they go to school, where they live, where they come from, all of that. Okay. So I'm just speaking on information that this mother has made public about her children. And then, since we're talking about children's, you want to talk about mothers? Where was the concern for my children's safety when they were tagging organized crime in 2023? When she labeled me dangerous, where was the concern for my children and any repercussions that would cause me and my family? Right? So if you don't want people speculating who's your baby daddy and whether the first baby belongs to this dude, then don't put your children out there like that. For all you people that are like, do you have kids? You're never with your kids. Yeah, but I don't exploit them for views for this specific reason. For this specific reason. I don't want to open the door to commentary on my children's private lives. So because of that, I'm not a family vlogger. And if I was, maybe I would take off like Candice. Maybe you guys would fall in love with my kids and have more empathy and stop trolling me every fucking day because you would think, oh, she has kids. Okay? So I choose not to put my kids on public like that. Okay? To prevent them from things like this. Okay? So when I start making content and commentary and questioning and viewers are questioning why, because she's brought it to the internet. So the same way you guys told me in 2022 when these bitches were dragging me for a year, that's what happens when you put your life on the internet. Where's that energy? When we choose to become public figures, especially with this amount of a platform, there are benefits and there are drawbacks. Okay. And she has been writing the benefits for several years. Minimal things she has to put up with. So this is very much a part of choosing to bring your life to the internet. Information you've publicly shared is now being picked apart, questioned, compared. Does the baby look like this kid? Does the child look like that person? That's her choice of putting her children out there to make money. And these are my personal opinions, okay? I'm not a fan of family vlogging. I think it gets nasty. I think it's sad that children are intertwined in these digital footprints without a choice. And this family's digital footprints includes domestic violence, includes criminal charges, includes deceit, includes a lot of bullshit, a lot of drama that sadly is intertwined to these children now, before they're even adults. That's a decision that Candice made for her children. And she's believed that it's worth it up until this point to expose where they live, where they go to school, their images, put them in front of the camera. But that comes along with opening the door for the internet to ask questions, have opinions, right? So if you're going to tell me, if you're going to bring up the kids to the mother. I'm not their mother. I'm a viewer. I'm a content creator. Nobody's ever expressed any empathy for my children. Not even this group of women that attacked my livelihood for an entire year and a half. Nobody thought about my children. So I just think it's diabolical that you guys expect me to tiptoe around certain topics because she has children. Nobody gives a fuck. I do too. I have children too. There's 5 children behind this platform that you don't see every day. Okay, so when you guys are like, what do you do? Well, I have 5 kids I'm taking care of. So the same way you have empathy for her, she's just trying to take care of her kids. Well, so am I. So am I. With a huge creator constantly working against me behind the scene. A huge creator that is constantly blocking my collabs, blocking my networking, blocking my opportunities openly. And you guys justify that with their boundaries. She's allowed to have boundaries. But if it was backwards, y'all would say I'm being a hater. If I was having her cut from interviews, you would say I'm being a hater. Absolutely. It's that double standard that you guys have that makes me come out batting. It makes me come out swinging. And then you guys are like, why are you still talking about it? Because you guys keep publicly gaslighting me. That's why. You guys keep gaslighting the fuck out of me. And it triggers me. So as long as y'all keep gaslighting me, the louder I'm going to get about this. Do you think the older kid is not Fidel's? My personal opinion? Yes. I think there's a paternity issue there. Absolutely. Based on the timeline of when she met Fidel, the restraining order on Mr. Ortiz, the divorce to Mr. Ferguson, there's 3 men in a period of about a year and a half. Absolutely, there are personal speculations on the paternity of her first child. And there's nothing wrong. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with if he wasn't biologically his. In fact, we would applaud a man taking in a child that's not biologically his. We would. Here's the thing. There's no need to lie. There's no need to lie about these things. There would be nothing wrong with him having a criminal conviction. There would be nothing wrong with this baby wasn't his. It's the fact that she lies to paint these things like a picture perfect frame. That is not the case. That's what it is. Okay. We don't actually care if that's his biological son or not. We're focused on why did you mislead us to believe that you had this picture perfect history, and you met him at 18 and then all of a sudden there's a surprise divorce. Like, hello? There would be nothing wrong with you saying like, I gotta show you guys something. When I was doing research today, this shit hit a little different. Okay, so in one of her early videos, she gave a science bitch. This is a screenshot where it says, to the best husband I have ever known. Okay, now think about that. Knowing what you know now. To the best husband I have ever known. Well, how many had you known, Candice? Because if I had only been married once, I would just say to my amazing husband. I don't know, but to the best husband I have ever known, bitch, because you had fucking 2 of them, so you were comparing them. That shit hit different when I said, I was like, oh, she gave herself away. She slipped right there. Just said to the best husband, to my amazing husband, to my loving husband, to the best husband I have ever known, because she's known more than one. She gave us clues. We just weren't listening. All I can think now is that Ruby Frank chick who was a family vlogger and is now in prison for abusing her children. Yeah, and family vlogging is a whole other topic. I'm not a fan of it. To the best husband that... I'm not going to read that out loud because I am not a fan of badgering women, like making fun of women that have been abused by their husbands. So I have seen comments that are just distasteful about, and I'm sorry if I've ever worded it like that or encouraged that. I'm not a fan of those comments of like, oh, to the best husband that beat you. She was abused by this man. And I'm sure it's a sour topic for any of us that have experienced domestic violence. Those comments can be triggering, even just like they're kind of triggering for me and they're not about me. So I would just tread lightly. This is, I'm extending way more empathy than she deserves from me, but that is a victim of domestic violence, still with her abuser, right? So I just feel like, I don't think she beat him. I don't know. Let's move on. Oh, so her MBA. Okay, so her MBA, I also watched some of her early content before this live. She started her MBA when he went to prison. So the entire time he was in prison, she was finishing her MBA, and as soon as she got it, she went to live in Mexico. I love you, you're hilarious. Not everybody gets me though, Besties, so I gotta be careful. Oh, when did Mr. Ortiz enter the chat? Yesterday. So Mr. Ortiz is an individual that Candice obtained a protective order against in February of 2008. She filed for a protective order. It was granted on a temporary basis. And the way that protective orders work is you get them for temporary and then you have to go and show up to get a permanent one. Well, she didn't show up to the hearing, so it was dismissed. So who was Carlos Ortiz in 2008, February 2008? Mind you, she met Fidel in 2007, according to her interviews. So you start dating Fidel in 2007. You get a protective order on Ortiz in 2008. You have a baby in 2009. You get divorced, or you have a DV with Fidel in 2011. And then you get divorced from Ferguson in 2012. You see why this is so messy? And there's questions like who the Papi is. Mireya Mendoza Bessie, thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy all the replays and perks. Messy, right? And we've all been messy. That's why this picture she's trying to paint of this picture perfect family and devoted this and that, it's fucking her because you've been messy and you are messy. She is messy to date behind the scenes. We're all messy. The only difference is I'm messy publicly. So there are some questions on paternity. I would not be surprised that she has lied about about the paternity of her child to fit this mold of a perfect relationship. It would not surprise me that she has told people this is his biological son, but it's not, because then she would have to open a door and explain Mr. Ferguson and Mr. Ortiz and 18, 19, 20, thotty years. So, and again, there's just no need. Like, people would still support a messy queen that had a history before she settled down and picked, people would understand that there's infidelity, that infidelity couldn't occur without Fidel in it. Oh, shut up, Donnie. I'm so sorry. Candice, I'm sorry. That was just a funny. It's just ironic. His name is Fidel and infidelity, funny. Okay, sorry. I'm looking for the video of La Abuelita's marriage. It's in the bio of this video. That sounds like some juicy cheese, man. Juicy is exactly the word that I used when I found her divorce decree. I text my friends and I was like, bitch, this is juicy. I wonder when she'll be dropping her excuse video. Okay, so historically, she has always responded to things that I have exposed. Sometimes it takes her weeks, sometimes months, sometimes she does it in days. So historically, she's always responded. Always. Sometimes not directly, sometimes indirectly. We know she just recently issued a response for the PPP fraud. Very vague and a few other things. So she's always responded. Do I think she'll respond to this? No. Her way of damage control will just be to pretend it's not happening. And Mr. Ferguson, I don't know what the fuck you're talking. It wouldn't surprise me if she got up here and said, that's not even mine. Nothing's wrong with not being perfect. But when you're lying about it, that is the issue. There's nothing wrong with having multiple baby daddies, with, having some infidelity in your marriage, with having hard times. The problem is when you try to portray something that isn't that. And that has been the thing for her whole story. There's nothing wrong with the fact he has a criminal history because most of us have one. We're not deported for being saints. Some of us would choose not to support a platform that is condoning domestic violence, but some of us would. There's nothing wrong with the fact that you got a PPP loan. We would just like to know that you're okay with committing fraud and not judging other people that have committed fraud. You know what I'm saying? So, also the PPP fraud, the way you guys just skirted past that real quick, I'm resentful about that too, because these are the same people that drag me for decade-old felonies, but PPP fraud is fine because she's an American, she's a U.S. citizen, she has a right to those loans. Okay. And when she talks about the PPP loans, all she said is, any loan or government assistance we've obtained has been done lawfully or some shit like that. The receipts contradict that. Lying and monetizing can actually be classified as fraud. Did you guys ever see those, like when TikTok was first a thing and there was TikTokers that were lying about their stories? Like there was a story where this girl was lying about having cancer and dropped a GoFundMe and she got charged. It's actually it's called theft by deception. And in the state of Utah, they love those type of crimes out there. So doing things like, and then people are like, well, who are you, bitch? I got a master's in fraud. That's who. Like the fact that it's coming from a scammer should tell you, like, I know a scam when I see one. And that has been why I butt heads with a lot of these people, because I've done it. I was deported for fraud. So trust me, I can see fraud. Like Candice and I, we would have been besties. Candice, like that's some shit I probably would have thought of at some point in time. Running a lick like that. It's right. We're in the same playing field when it comes to the shit that we do to get our families by. I'm not mad at you, Candice. Like that was actually a smart one. Well, it is what it is, y'all. Like, when people tell me, who are you? Like, who do you think you are? Like, not coming from you when you did this. Exactly. Coming from me because I did it, done it. I know what these things look like. Trust me, there are things that I was not charged for that go hand in hand with the type of fuckery she be doing. From that LLC, the PPP fraud. I guarantee you she's on government benefits. Promise you. There's a reason she goes back and forth to the States periodically. Okay, so do what you got to do. Just stop making us think you're Miss Goody Two Shoes. Miss Goody Two Shoes with, I just love you for being you, Master and Fraud. Yeah, I had to retire before I got to the big house. Okay, other thing that I found interesting when we're on the topic of paternity. I can't find any pictures on her content of them when this one is littler. All the content I found is the first boy as a toddler. But yes, it could still be, it could still be Fidel, but I just, certain things that I'm like, there's something off here. There's something off here. Because at first, my biggest like mindfuck in this is, why do all of her stories start in 2016? Okay, 2016 was the year that changed our lives forever. Okay, and she's referencing his second deportation. Why does she never reference the first deportation in 2012? So at first I was like, well, maybe she wasn't around. But then no, because he assaulted her in 2011. So why does she never acknowledge deportation number 1? Why was deportation in 2012? Why did that not change their lives forever? Why does her story always start in 2016? Every single interview, every trendy TikTok is 2016, which is the second deportation. She left out the entire first half, the first deportation round, the DV, all that's left out. And so that just leaves a lot of like room for speculation is, why does her trauma begin in 2016, not in 2012 when she was going through DV, she was going through a divorce, he spent time in jail for assaulting her, he was processed and deported, he went to ICE detention, but that's not acknowledged as changing our lives or the worst year of our lives. Everything starts in 2016. And I'm honestly intrigued as to why. Why does the story start there and not in 2012? She could have done the same thing and lied and said he was wrong place, wrong time, and he got deported in 2012. Why is 2012 deportation never acknowledged? Why? Candice, we need answers. And I'm fixated on this. There's something there. And I've been trying to put the pieces together. It's too close to the DV. Yeah. She was assaulted November of 2011 and he's deported March 2012. And then she filed for divorce April 2012. So then I was like, maybe she was with Ferguson. Maybe the first deportation didn't hit because she was with Ferguson. And maybe in 2012, she was like, fuck him, I hope he gets... Maybe she was actually okay with his first deportation because they were on the rocks. She was married a homeboy. But the baby... And that's why I'm like, maybe the baby was... Oh, I'm sure there's more stuff. First baby, according to the interview, was born in 2009. Mind you, February 2008, a protective order is filed by her against a Carlos Ortiz. I am just assuming that was another dating interest, because if it was just another random person harassing her, why would she not follow up and show up to the hearing to ensure that the protective order was permanent? She filed for a protective order. They gave her a temporary one, and then she didn't show up to the hearing to enforce it. So, was Mr. Ortiz the Papi? Mr. Ortiz is also Latino. Do you think she was mad at Fidel and had him deported? You know, I hadn't considered that. I had not considered that because he was in jail. Because look, he was arrested for DV in November of 2011. We need that police report. Let me tell you why. Because he went to jail on that offense. Okay. It wasn't like something happened, the police were called, and then charges filed later. For him to be arrested in 2011, that means he was caught in the act. She reported him, something happened, and he was taken to jail. Then he was deported. He pled guilty right away. There was no hearing. There was no trial. He pled guilty right away. And then he got deported a month later. And then she filed for divorce from Ferguson, because I want to know this. Why, if her husband had just been deported in March, why is her priority filing for divorce weeks later from Ferguson? Unless she was like, well, I want to marry him. I don't know. Mr. Ferguson called the cops on At this point, there's just so many possibilities. We need that police report. Don't make me file for it. Don't make me file for the police report. I am genuinely curious. The police report would tell us who called the police. It would tell us... fuck. Okay, let me go look. Who was the charging agency? Let me go look at the records. I have all the information to pull the police report. Oh, Candice, I know your butthole is sweating right now because I know you're watching. I would be nervous too, girl. Because I just know you lied about this. Okay, hold on. Let me go look. Let me pull them. All right, let me pull my file folder with the DV. Okay, South Salt Lake, November 29, 2011. All right, I'm gonna do it. Hold on. South Salt Lake. I don't know how long it's gonna take us to get it. It won't be. It'll take us a little bit. All right, public records request. $15 per report. Oh, look, they do have an online portal. All right. Oh, I've actually pulled one from South Salt Lake before. Bestie, I'm gonna need your help on this because police. Let me try off my phone. I did try switching VPN. Didn't like it. Hold on. All right. Yeah, it doesn't let me. Okay, Bestie, help me out. She said, what's the link? She was locked and loaded. Okay. I'll give you the dates. I'll give you the dates and I'll give you the case number. It's going to ask you for very specific info that I have on the charging docs. Mr. Ortiz, I'm assuming was like a boyfriend. I can imagine her screaming like Regina George and writing, do not trust this. Okay, hold on. Let me... Bestie, I'm going to send you the doc that has all the, yes, new request. Okay, and then this screenshot I'm going to show you, it's going to ask you for details like the exact date. Hold on. The date of the offense, the address, as much information as you can include on the request, and it's all in this doc right here. Any info on the first husband? He was 36 when they got married. Well, I don't know exactly when they got married, but when she divorced him at the age of 23, so she divorced him and I did the math. He's born in 1975. She got divorced in 2012. He was 37. And that means when he married her, if she was married at the age of 18, he was about 35 or 36. That's weird. She has a thing for older men. Or older men have a thing for her. Either or. Yes, new request. Bryce is breathing a little easier, enjoying the break. Yes, he is. Elvia, thank you so much, Bessie. I got your double entry for the wheel. Christina, I got your 4 double entries. Oh, a ver, Analia. Hold on. It's police department request. They're police records. No shade on my people, but I'm not reading that one, Diane. People are going to get offended by that. I did say, I want to know how she went from Mr. Ferguson to Mr. Ortiz and Mr. Garcia. Because that was a sharp right turn. Sharp right turn. It's given her family wanted her to marry an old white man, and she wanted, some sazon in her life. El chisme está sabroso y sí. Please. Yeah, that is the culture of more men targeting younger, vulnerable women. Look, I'm 36. My daughter is almost 18. So this is the same age gap as her first husband, and that's fucking crazy to me. Imagine me marrying an 18-year-old boy. He's legal, but he's 18. That's gross. That's predatory. Yes, 18 means they're legal, but they're still teenagers. And as a 36-year-old right now, the idea of an 18-year-old is weird. Yes. A ver. Please hold. Very Utah coded. A lot of grooming going on. Grooming and abuse. Absolutely. Bessie, I hope you don't mind. I won't say your name, but I'm just... Is now a good time?
Yeah.
Okay, show me your screen.
I think it has to be regular FaceTime.
Because you're on your phone?
Oh, no, hold on.
Just flip me. You're sharing your screen. Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. So, we're gonna...
You want to screen record?
No. Okay, so name all the personal info and then scroll. Do you want me to tell you about the...
Yeah.
Okay. Scroll down to the other options. You are other. Media. Do public figure. Wait, hold on. Let's do public figure upcoming interview for a public figure based on these events. To get married that young. I got married at 18. It's culturally very normal in Utah. No one has said that any certain child doesn't have a certain last name. That is a narrative that's been thrown out there, but has not been verified. We don't know what the last name is, and I don't think we should go searching for that. It's not publicly available anywhere that I've seen. Hey, Bryce, if you're enjoying the break, help us find Mr. Ferguson. Okay, we're going to do body cam video, 911 dispatch call, and police report and photos. Okay, and description, we are requesting a detailed copy of the police report for the incident on November 11th, 2011. No, sorry, it's November 29th. Including any available body cam footage and 911 dispatch call. Do you have a case? Do you have the case number? I don't know. You're gonna want to do the LEA case number, not the case number on the charging docs. Let me give you the case number. It's ready. 11 G 007625. Okay, location. You have it, right? 3407. South. I'm gonna guess this was Murray. It doesn't say. Okay. Name and date of birth. She was Fidelis. Garcia Sanchez.
Oh.
$714.80.
These are 7 oh.
$14.80.
Okay, and then electronic. And then this is immediate request, yes. Expedited request? No, we'll pay. Okay, that's it, right?
Yep. Bottoms away. So this incident happened in an apartment. Okay, hold on. So now we wait to hear back. So what will happen is they'll email us back and tell us if and what's available and how much it is. And then we'll need to pay it, and then they'll give us the records. I'm going to assume processing time of 7 to 10 business days.
Sounds like fun.
Okay, bestie. Thanks so much.
Thanks, you
Bye. Okay, so we got the Gramma Request in. Somebody made a good note. It's been quite a few years, so we'll need to see if and what's available. The other option is to request the charging documents from the courthouse. The courthouse would have the records if the police department doesn't. But this might be faster. She addressed the issue that her viewers have been commenting on the oldest and they don't have a close relationship. So again, these are things that unfortunately you open the door to when you create content on your family, and viewers see the dynamics, and then stuff like this comes up, and it only fuels a speculation in the comments of why is this, why is that, right? So if we know these things exist as parents, because Candice knows the truth, Candice knows what's behind all this, right? So if she knows the truth, why would you expose your child to it? You know, why would you set up something like this that could potentially harm your family if it ever got out? She also addressed the fact that why her oldest had her last name. I didn't know that. Somebody mentioned it. I didn't know. If that's true, can you link us? I don't want to speak on that unless I can verify it, because somebody did the same thing yesterday and said that there was an obituary and a certain child didn't have the last name, and then when I pulled up the obituary, it didn't list any last name. So if this is true, Diane, can you link me? And then that would definitely... Why? Yeah. Again, let me not speculate until I verify that she has shared this publicly. What is everyone's general reaction? I don't know. Like, I don't watch her content like that. I haven't been following that close. And yeah, ultimately, I think it was her dad's obituary. No, we looked it up yesterday. And the obituary doesn't have, the children don't have any last name listed. And I don't, as far as I know and what I've seen, I don't see anywhere where she's shared her child's last name. But it would make sense if there was a discrepancy there, because she was legally married to somebody else when that child was born. Be careful with that. It's a little scooper. Maybe a DNA, I don't know. It's an old video. She might have deleted it by now. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, if you can find it, definitely share it with us. That would be interesting to include if she's actually spoken on why a certain child has a different last name. I did look at her earlier. I went to the bottom of her page today doing some research before this live, and I didn't find anything along that. She mentioned an issue with the passports because of the double last name. Has she shared if her kids are dual citizens? If they've gotten the citizenship for, like, the older child? I know the older child doesn't really, like, speak Spanish, doesn't he? So this is what would have happened. This is likely what happened. If they obtained dual citizenship for the oldest child and listed Fidel as the father, by law, he would have received Fidel's last name. Now, if the U.S. birth certificate doesn't have Fidel's last name, then there's going to be discrepancy with the passports, because the American passports are going to list a different last name than the Mexican passports. I know this because it happened to me, and I had to process name changes for my children in the U.S. So she did a whole vlog about it when she had the newest baby. Okay. So it's leading to the American birth certificate may not have Fidel's information on it. Shall explain the process. Can you share a link so we can go watch? Let's find the X. Let's not do all that. That's a little too much for me. I'm a fan of public records and stuff like that, but I'm not a fan of reaching out to people from people's past and like trying to get dirt on them. Like that just seems a little extra for me. It's one thing to pull records and court reports and stuff like that, but like harassing her ex-husband, and that just seems a little much. If he wants to come forward, I'm sure he would do that all on his own. I'm sure he's seen the mess his ex-wife is making with his shit all up in it. He's also older, guys. Yeah. She did a whole vlog and talked about when they did it for the second and third. They actually went and stayed at a hotel while they were doing the paperwork and the passport. Oh, but the second and third we know are who the Papi is. But the paternity question is about the first child that was born to a legal marriage with a protective order on an ex-boyfriend while dating the Sancho. The timeline of all that is intriguing to us all. And again, I didn't find any content. Like I even looked up all the Father Day vlogs. No content of him with the first child as a baby that I could find. Not saying it doesn't exist, just I didn't see it anywhere. So there's a lot of little clues that allude to there's a questionable, I did find her replying to certain comments and saying, yes, that's his biological child. Because this topic has been brought up even in the beginning. I scrolled to the bottom of her channel, and in the early stages of her channel, people respectfully asked, is that his biological son? And she said, yes, this is his biological son. So I think people have been questioning this from early on. Not sure why, but to clarify, I showed the process for the third child. Okay, yeah. So I'm curious about the first child, because for the first child to obtain Mexican citizenship, Fidel would need to be listed on the American birth certificate because Candice is not Mexican. So if Fidel is not on the American birth certificate, the oldest child does not have a right to Mexican citizenship. And I think we just cracked the case on, I don't think he has Mexican citizenship. I don't think there's been any vlogs on his process. So in order for the first child to receive dual citizenship, and she can go to Registro Civil and register them, they would require the American birth certificate. And he would be registered the same way that the American birth certificate is. Now, if he then didn't establish paternity legally in the United States to that child, he's not listed on his birth certificate. So when that birth certificate is presented to Registro Civil, he doesn't have any claim to Mexican citizenship because he doesn't have a Mexican parent on the birth certificate. I don't think he has citizenship. Busca su CURP. For research purposes only. If she's already clarified that this child has her last name, Fidel is not on the birth certificate up there. Unless his biological father is on there. All right. Oh, but we don't know. Does he have a middle name? I don't know, guys. I don't know, guys. The rabbit hole just keeps getting bigger. He could not get dual citizenship through his siblings, no. He has to have a Mexican parent. The only way that child will be eligible for Mexican citizenship. Does anybody have the birthday? Quietly type it into my chat over here. I know we established it was December of 2009. Can anybody, I'm sure she's posted a video blog for him. See, this is also why birthday blogs for kids are a privacy issue. Can anybody confirm the 30th? November 30th? Did we say December or November? December 30th. December 11th. Can y'all pick a the day? Could the father be added if no father was at the birth? Yes. December 11th? Mm-mm. Based on the information I've inputted, there is no registration for a Mexican citizen with that information. I tried Ferguson and Sanchez and Garcia and I've tried all three different Papis and so my assumptions would be that the first baby does not have a claim to Mexican citizenship because he doesn't have a Mexican parent. Mm-mm. And I think we've legally, right, at least legally. So can he be in Mexico legally? With permanent residence, yes. You don't have to be a Mexican citizen to reside here. So the legal father would need to be Mexican for that child to have a claim to Mexican citizenship. I've tried both dates, the 11th and the 12th. And I've tried 3 different last names, and there's no... Long story short, legally, it's not the Papi. But we already knew that because that child was born to a legal marriage with Mr. Ferguson. Now, it doesn't mean that paternity can't be established at this point, but it would need to be done through a court proceeding. So a paternity suit would need to be filed in the state of Utah for paternity to be acknowledged by the father. That that also could have happened during the divorce, but it didn't. So I think that was a fumble on her part to not list the child that was born during that legal marriage and clarify who the paternity belonged to, because that divorce decree would have been enough to grant parentage to the legal father. Well, this goes to an online school because in order to register to a Mexican school, you do need a CURP. You do need status. All of my schools have required my children's CURP. So it would make sense why online school is probably required for them. But yes. If you were to adopt him legally and if he's not the biological father, would that facilitate him getting? Yes. As long as he's the legal father, he has a claim to Mexican citizenship. Doesn't matter if he's biological or not. So if he acknowledges paternity, if he adopts a child, then that child has a claim to Mexican citizenship. She has made several videos that she is a permanent resident of Mexico. So she has residency. And I will just say that residency can be obtained independent of a marriage to a Mexican citizen. I've had friends here, single moms that moved here with their kids, that were able to obtain residency after fulfilling the 2-year, I think it's a 2-year wait period on a visa, working visa. And then she applied for a resident card and it was granted just based on income. So the fact that she has residency doesn't necessarily mean that she obtained it through marriage. I also suspect that she's not actually legally married to Fidel. I could be wrong. But based on the trajectory of the story and how many things she's lied about, I think there's a possibility she's not even married to Fidel. Legally, of course. Because if she was, she could have obtained her citizenship by now. So the fact that she is a resident now, after I believe 5 years of being a resident, you can apply for Mexican citizenship. So this doesn't mean that she's obtaining any of this immigration status from Fidel, because it's not required for her to obtain it. So if she was married to Fidel, I believe it would fast track her to Mexican citizenship, but she's been here almost 10 years and hasn't obtained citizenship. And I know she's vocalized an intent in wanting to obtain citizenship. So if she was married legally to Fidel since they got deported, she would have been able to obtain her citizenship long ago. So my money is on she's only been legally married once to Mr. Ferguson. You really have nothing better to do. Me and 870 people and 200 on my YouTube channel. So 1,000 of us have nothing better to do than this. Correct. I had to do it for my daughter to have her father to her birth certificate, but we had to do a paternity test because I was legally married to someone else when she was born. Bingo. So when a child is born to a marriage, the spouse is the legally presumed father. Because she was married when the child was born, but she was possibly with somebody else, for that person to establish paternity of that child born to that marriage, a paternity suit would have to be filed, which may include a DNA test. That was not done. I can tell you that there's no paternity suit in the state of Utah for that child. So it is my safe assumption that that child does not have Fidel as the legal father. And there's a possibility that the same way that the divorce decree listed a different man, that birth certificate lists a different name, which is why that child is not a Mexican citizen, enrolled in online school in the US, and everything else. Good work, team. If you look at the timeline and she was married to Fidel, but yet she had a petition for a divorce. If she was actually married to Fidel, why? Well, she claimed she married him in 2016 while he was in ICE detention. We don't know that she's actually married to Fidel. Personal opinion, based on how many lies she has told about her story, I have reason to believe that she may not actually be legally married to Fidel. Diego's a Smith. So if he's a Smith, why is he a Smith if that's his biological dad? I was able to add my dad to my birth certificate with just a marriage license as long as the date was prior to my birth. That's you as an adult, I'm assuming. But for a minor, the process is different. And the process can also vary by state. I know that in the state of Utah, a parentage case has to be filed. I know this because when I was with Walter, quick story time, Walter had a baby with Sabrina while Sabrina was married to someone else. When Walter filed for paternity for rights to that child, and it was rebuted by her legal marriage to someone else who she wasn't even with anymore. So the court pretty much sided with, this mom is married, that child belongs to that spouse. despite the fact that there was a father trying to assert his right to this child that was born to a marriage. Utah is a fucked up state for father rights when it comes to that. If you have a baby in Utah and you're married, good luck. Your Sancho's going to have a hard time getting rights to that baby, because a court will hold the marriage, will try to preserve the marriage, and will deny paternity rights to a father because that marriage. They're trying to protect that family unison, and it's legally presumed that that's the legal father. And if that legal father wants to be there, or if the mom wants to use that as a defense, yeah. I don't believe you can get married in ICE. You know what, bestie? Hold the fuck up, because yeah, I know you can get married in jail, but he didn't go to jail in 2016. He went straight to ICE detention. Well, he did serve time in federal prison. Yeah, you can't. I don't think ICE hosts marriages, do they? You'll have to look into that for me. But let me pull up again the charging doc. He did federal prison time, so they could have gotten married in federal prison, right? That's a thing there. They do not in Colorado. All right, let me pull up the federal case right now. I gotta pee. Let me pull up the federal case so I can pull the details of what institution he served his time at. Real quick, let me go potty, watch my stuff. Okay, welcome back to my TED Talk. Let's pull up the federal case in Pacer. So ladies, if you ever start dating a man, make a habit, make a Pacer account, and make sure you pull a background check in Pacer. This is federal, okay? So if your men have ever been charged with anything federal, drug charges can sometimes be federal. This is where you want to look. Okay, let me log in. Pacer is where you find, this is where I found his prison sentence. So real quick, where would you like to go? Pacer case locator. It's not free. To make an account, it's free, but you do have to pay per document. All right, title, it was USA versus Garcia Sanchez. So usually when somebody completes a sentence, they will file a completion of that sentence, and it should give the information to where he served. Criminal. Saved items. Oh, I need to save these cases. Party search. Party. Garcia. Okay, here it is. Filed December 2016, closed November. How do I save this? Save this shit, okay? Okay, saving this for future reference. Okay. Also, can we talk about that? You've been together for 15 years and you still don't speak Spanish. You know why? Here's my speculation on that. For everybody that claps for her trying to speak Spanish and she's doing so great. It's been 15 years and her Spanish is as choppy as Inglés sin barreras. That's because she only speaks Spanish for her TikToks. She doesn't really speak Spanish in real life. She doesn't really assimilate in real life. Otherwise, she would be fluent. Look at Mamá de Guarache. Mamá de Guarache is a perfect example of how quickly you can pick up Spanish if you're actually using it and assimilating it. So the reason why her Spanish is so chopped up is because she doesn't actually use it. She doesn't actually practice it. She only does it for her videos. Okay, judgment executed. Let me see. Because be so for real, 15 years with a motherfucker and you still don't. Okay, hold on. Remanded to the custody of St. Marshall's. You must cooperate. Oh, look, they have his DNA. 36 months? Oh, he was supposed to be on probation for 36 months. DUTX. If deported, the defendant shall not re-enter the U.S. If the defendant returns to the U.S. during the period of supervision or is not deported, he is instructed to the within 72 hours or released from custody. $100 fine. Scheduled payments, $100. I'm looking for a facility name. So he did 12 months and 1 day is what he was ordered to complete. But I'm trying to see particularly judgment, statement, notice of withdrawal. I don't think it's going to show me which facility he served. Plea and sentence, statement in advance of plea, plea supplement. All right. Judgment. 70 cents. Damn. I'm gonna need some cheesemate bucks, okay, for this tea. Defendant is hereby committed to the custody of Federal Bureau of Prisons and may to be imprisoned for a total of 12 months. How do I find which prison somebody has served time in? It just says he was remanded to Federal Bureau of Prisons, so he could have served anywhere, really. Cheese my bugs. Well, BOP website. Inmate locator is only for people currently in custody. Order of detention pending trial. Oh, this was not available. Notice of sentencing. Consent fast track. Let me just go through all these documents. Hi, Annie. I'm Manusa from Colorado. Hola, Luna. Welcome. Oh, restricted. Oh, some of these documents aren't public. The information. Order appointing public defender, consent to fast track, waiver of indictment, order of detention pending trial, certificate of compliance, 9/28/2016. Rules of disclosure. Case summary. Candice's maiden name is Smith. think he has more than one case, actually. Maybe Florida, too. Thank you for waking me up to the fraudulence. You're welcome. Notice from the court. Notice other. Oh, the character letters. You guys want me to read these to you? Submission of character letters. Well, she did declare herself as a wife, so maybe she did marry him. My name is Candice Garcia Sanchez. I'm the wife of Fidel Garcia Sanchez. I am writing this letter today in hopes of conveying to the court the character of my husband, Fidel. 8 years ago today, I met Fidel. Okay, she just gave us a date. Hold on. When did she write this letter? Filed November 10th. Okay, let me read you this letter, okay? 8 years ago today, I met Fidel. I fell in love with him almost instantly, although I already had a husband. And shortly after our relationship began, I found out I was pregnant with our son, who is now 6 years old. Sorry, that was unnecessary. The day I found out I was pregnant was the scariest day of my life, but it was also the day I knew for certain that I would spend the rest of my life with his father. So did you choose Fidel? Did you choose Fidel because that's his dad and you had to divorce Ferguson because you got knocked up by Fidel? Okay, let me keep going. A million different emotions overcame me when I told Fidel I was pregnant. I was teary-eyed and shaking as I stood in front of him holding my positive pregnancy test. Fidel took my hands in his and I will never forget what he said to me. He said, everything is going to be just fine if you are willing to take this on with me. We will be a family. I promise I will love and care for you and our child for the rest of our lives. I remember that he didn't look terrified, as I'm sure I did, or worried. He looked happy and ready, and I knew that he meant every word. This moment was the first of many moments that I would come to understand what family truly means to Fidel. She was married. That's why she was scared. And Fidel convinced her to leave Ferguson because she was going to have his baby. Okay, I'm jumping ahead. Let me finish the letter. All of the character letters you will receive on behalf of Fidel will give you examples of how hardworking my husband is and the many things he has done for our extended family and friends. I would like to tell you what he has done for myself and our son and what his presence has taught us about love and sacrifice. From the moment I met him, he has worked 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. He's missed family celebrations, school activities, and many milestones in our son's life. These moments were certainly not by choice and were always a struggle for me. He missed these things because he wanted to ensure that our son and I had everything we needed. My husband knew that he could not give us the same security that other husbands, like Mr. Ferguson, and fathers could give their families. So he worked tirelessly day in and day out to give us as much as he possibly could at the expense of these missed moments. He supported me throughout my career and my quest for an education. He's the reason I was able to complete my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, human services. He then continued to support me through my master's in business administration, which I will complete in February of 2017. Without his love and support, neither of those degrees would have been possible. My husband knows and constantly reminds me when I am in doubt how important my education and career are for the future of our family. My husband has taught our son the importance of hard work and sacrifice, has taught him compassion even when others do not have it, has taught him to stand up for himself and for others. He has taught him to respect women. Candice, shut the fuck up. I'm so sorry. Okay. He has taught him to respect women, although he beat the shit out of me in front of him, and how to be a gentleman. I'm so sorry. The fact that I had to read that out loud knowing the history here is diabolical. Anyway, he has taught him how to respect women and how to be a gentleman. He continues to support him and encourage him through schooling because he wants him to have every opportunity that he did not have. Fidel has made our son the amazing person he is today and continues to teach him more and more every day. Our son loves his dad with all of his heart, and although our son knows he has made mistakes in the past, Fidel will always be his hero. Valid. Fidel and I are not a perfect couple by far. We just tell TikTok and YouTube that we are. We both have made mistakes in the past, but we love each other deeply and unconditionally. We have overcome many obstacles and doubts, and we have learned from them and moved forward. I will not make excuses for the choices my husband has made in his life, except for on my YouTube channel, nor do I make an excuses, except for on TikTok, for my part in these mistakes or my own past mistakes, like cheating on my husband. What I will tell you, my first husband that is, what I will tell you is that, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. What I will tell you is that he does everything he can to overcome these mistakes and take care of our responsibilities. We continue to move forward as a family and raise our son. My husband is a generous, loving, hardworking man. My son and I will forever be cared for and loved because we have him. The punishment of being without us is greater than any punishment he could receive, and watching this all unfold over the past several months has been the hardest thing I have ever been through, but not harder than the first deportation round. I am asking this court to look beyond his record and judge him not by his past, but by the man, husband, and father he is today. I am asking that we be allowed to return to Mexico swiftly so that we can begin to rebuild our lives. So this letter was written ahead of his 1-year prison sentence. I know the burden of the decision you face cannot be easy, but I trust that you will be fair and just. Thank you for your consideration and your time. How do we feel about that one? Typical prison wife. Hashtag prison wife. You should be a star for prison wife content for sure. Yeah. What do you guys? Okay, so she gave us a lot of context to their story. 8 years ago today, I met Fidel. I want to know when she wrote this letter. She didn't date it, but it was filed on November 10th, 2016. So that means she met him in about November 2008. Although she told the news article she met him in 2007. So based on this letter, which it's so fucking hard to keep up with her timeline because she lies so fucking much depending on who she's talking to. So according to this, she met Fidel in November of 2008. The son was born in... Oh, she got pregnant quickly. The son was born in November of 2009. So they dated for 3 months and got knocked up. I want to take us back to her narration of when they found out she was pregnant. She narrates it as being the scariest day of her life. Why was it the scariest day of her life that she found out she was pregnant? Because she was already married. And so this sounds like his reaction was trying to convince her, it's okay, I'll take care of you. We're going to be a family. This is when she understood what family truly meant and that she would be with him for the rest of her life. But she had already made vows to her first husband. So where did the vows, because vows are for the rest of your life too, right? So it was that day I knew for certain that I would spend the rest of my life with his father, not my current legal husband. Read between the lines here. She tells us a story of what happened with Ferguson. She was already married to him, cheated on him with Fidel, gets knocked up. Fidel convinces her to pick me. I'm the father. And she says, I have to be with his father, right? I'm pregnant by this man, so I got to leave my current husband for the real father. That's what I think happened here, based on the way that she narrates the story, which it explains why it was the scariest day of her life. If she was about 19 years old. And yeah. Listen to what he said. He said, everything is going to be just fine. If you're willing to take this on with me, we will be a family. I promise I'll love and take care of you and our child for the rest of our lives. So if you choose me, we will be a family. If you choose me and not Ferguson, we'll be a family. I'll take care of you and the baby. It's making all the sense. Okay. Of course, yeah. Okay, next one. There's more. This is from a pastor of a Catholic church. Well, maybe they're not Mormon. They're Catholic. Okay. My apologies. I assumed she was Mormon because there's a lot of Mormon activity going on in the story. All right. Writing on behalf of Mr. Fidel, who's been charged with a felony for reentry. He's scheduled to be sentenced November 15, 2016. I've came to know him through his wife and their son. They're a hardworking family who contribute for the good of our community and society. Their steady participation in worship, their kindness and respect to family values are example of why I believe this person is worthy of clemency. So we're Catholic. Okay. I apologize. I assumed she was Mormon because there was a lot of Mormon shit going on here. Okay. Now, let's see. Next one. Candice's mom. All right. The grandma. Writing this letter on behalf of Fidel, I've known him for about 8 years. Has always treated family and friends with great concern for their welfare, always willing to go the extra mile. Have witnessed the love he has for my daughter, has always worked 12-hour days, 7 days a week to provide, goes out of his way so the whole family is welcome in his home, loves all of us. Fidel is not a dangerous criminal. He made a mistake, but beyond that mistake, he has always been focused on working hard and providing for his family. I have put the life of my daughter and grandson in his hands for the past 8 years, knowing he will take good care of them. If I can provide any questions, any further answers, blah, 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 blah. He's not a dangerous criminal. Now, let me tell you why that sticks out to me. Her family's a Trump supporter. Bet my money. That statement, Fidel is not a dangerous criminal. He's not one of not ours. This man is not a dangerous criminal. The rest of them are. That's what I heard when I read that part out. That's a Trumper. The mom is a Trumper. I know one when I see one. I know one when I see one. He is not a dangerous criminal like the rest of them. He is a good man. He's not one of the bad hombres. He takes care of my daughter and blah, 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 blah. Trumpy! Ma'am, we have a Trumpy. Yep. Promise. Should we look up? Can you look up voter status? All right. Let me leave that. Let me keep going. Oh, the sister that watches my lives. Okay. Letter from the sister. Mr. Fidel is my brother-in-law and the most generous man I know. I have known him for 8 years. In the 8 years, he has shown nothing but love and kindness to my sister, my nephew, and my entire family. Many times when I would visit them, he would come home late, covered in dirt, worn hands, and looking exhausted. He would walk in the door, greet us all, and act as if he had not been working tirelessly for his family the whole day. He's worked construction and as a mechanic for all the years I've known him, 7 days a week from dusk to dawn. The family wants us to know he works 7 days a week. Every single letter that I've read, heavy emphasis on he works 7 days a week. Okay, we get it. He works. He works. If you missed it, he worked 7 days a week. Okay. All right, let me pick up. He works so his family was provided for, and so my sister could pursue her master's of business degree, which she will graduate with in February. He's never complained, and he works harder than anyone I know, loves his family, and it's evident in all he did for them. He has not only provided for his family, he has constantly sought ways to help anyone in need. When I was 18 and struggling to live in my own, Fidel pushed my sister to allow me to stay with them in their 1-bedroom apartment rent-free. Not to mention, they also had a newborn to care for, and my sister was in school. He would not let me pay for anything in the home, although I knew they were struggling. He assured me in his broken English that he has my family, and that's what family does. Nicole, why did we mention the broken English? That and he's not a dangerous criminal. I'm seeing a lot of Trump statements here. Anyway, Fidel is, his selfishness has not changed over the years, as he repeatedly came to visit my husband and I in Las Vegas when we were both struggling while completing our master's degrees. He drove hours to repair our vehicles so that we could make it to work and school, never let us pay him for any of the labor, even though it would often take all weekend. He would then make us a large meal of carne asada and onions. and that, I'm so sorry. He would then make us a large meal of carne asada and onions and remind me that he was family and that's what family does. Fidel did a good job winning over this family. I'm sorry. The carne asada and the onions in this letter made me laugh. Fidel knew what the fuck he was doing. Let me tell you something. Fidel knew what the fuck he was doing, okay? How to win. He was working for that green card. Anyway, I'm positive he told my younger sister the same thing when she lived in their apartment rent-free for over a year. I'm sure that he told that to my mother when he would find the money in their tight budget to send my sister and nephew to my mother's house for all the holidays, even though he was working. I'm sure that Fidel told that to his brother's family that he often supported when they could not make ends meet, and his elderly mother in Mexico he often sent money to. I am sure Fidel reminded my brother what family does when he insisted my brother stay with them as well and got him a job at his construction site. I am sure the man sitting in front of you looks like another illegal immigrant who broke our laws, but I hope you see him for more than that. Did I not tell you this is a family of fucking Trump supporters? Let me read that again. I am sure the man sitting in front of you looks like another illegal immigrant who broke our laws, but I hope you see him for more than that. Let me show it to you, para que no digan that I'm making this shit up. I am sure the man sitting in front of you looks like another illegal immigrant who broke our laws, but I hope you see him for more than that. I hope this letter and the other letters you receive show. Trumpers, okay? Trumpers. Trumpers. I actually hadn't read these, so you're getting a live reaction to this letter. So let me point out: illegal immigrant, dangerous criminal, broken English. These are his no wonder this fucking man got deported in a year in prison. Nicole Bazzelli and Candice Smith. How the fuck did you think these were letters of support? And the carne asada and the onions? Yeah, her sister's name is Nicole J. Bazzelli. Saluden, I know she's in here. Y'all sunk him with these letters. I'm so sorry. I'm sure the man sitting in front of you looks like another dangerous criminal, illegal immigrant who broke our laws with broken English, but give him a chance because he's married to my sister. If Candice's husband hadn't been deported, she was probably a Republican before this. Promise you. Oh, these are my favorites. These are my fucking favorite to find. My favorite. You turned blue the moment it hit your family. But before then, and the rest of your family probably still voting red. Let me continue with Nicole. She's a middle school MEd school counseling treatment coordinator, behavioral services. Nicole. Okay. I can never repay Fidel for the generosity, except for with this letter reminding you that he's a dangerous illegal criminal, and love that he has shown me and my family. His punishment has already been so great, and I am sure being in Mexico will be hard for him and us. I hope and pray that you will see his time served as punishment enough and allow Fidel to return to his family in Mexico as soon as possible so that we can visit him, so that his son may visit him. And so that he can make us carne asada with onions again. I need to regroup with this fucking letter. I'm so sorry. I know you hate. I'm so sorry. I should not be laughing like this. But the way I knew her family was a bunch of Trumpers before I read these, I just didn't want to verbalize it because I couldn't back it up. These fucking Trump supporters writing character letters because it's their sister's husband. Because he's not a dangerous criminal. Not that one. Not that one. I know he looks like just another illegal immigrant who broke our laws, but I hope you see him for more. This one's more than an illegal immigrant because he's part of our family. Because if he gets deported, who's going to fix the cars and make us carne asada and onions? I'm so sorry. Let me get out of the frame because you guys ain't fucking shit. Like, I'm sorry, Fidel. I feel bad for Fidel in this. Like, they used you so bad for that free labor. Okay? Carlos, I need you to come make a video on these motherfuckers about how they exploited him too. Okay? Oh my god. Do I even want to read this one? Who the fuck wrote this one? Andrew Pizzelli. Oh, the husband of the Trumpy. Do we even want to read this one? I need another macchiato. Hold on. The cuñado. Okay, here we go. I want you guys to know I haven't read these before. Okay, I haven't read these before. I'm writing this letter on behalf of my brother-in-law. It's disheartening for me to see a man as fantastic as Fidel in this situation. The system is broken when a person, when as caring, loving, and hardworking as Fidel, is put behind bars for simply not being born in this country. This man is behind bars for beating up your sister, for driving drunk and endangering people. Oh! Like, I get it, but we need to also acknowledge the behavior that put us here. This is not a case of he's in there for being born on the wrong side of the border. There are cases where that happens. We are felons for a reason. Okay. Fidel is the most family-oriented man and person I have ever met in my life. My immediate family and I are really close, and over time I have realized that not a lot of family are like this until I joined Fidel's family. He works 11 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every fucking letter has mentioned 7 days a week to make sure his wife and children are taken care of. He never complains or asks for anything. He only gives and supports his family. My wife lived with him and his family in their apartment for an extended period of time when she was transitioning to college. Not only did Fidel make sure she was fed and allowed her to live there for free, but more importantly, Fidel made her and treated her like his own flesh and blood. Never asked for anything in return, but offered everything he had and more. Years later, him and his family came to visit my wife and I in Las Vegas. At the time, my car was broken down and had been sitting on the road for months. The moment he heard my car wasn't working, he was outside in 115-degree asphalt trying to fix it. For 2 days during his vacation, he worked on my car and eventually fixed it. Now, this might seem like a small gesture, but him doing that saved me thousands of dollars and allowed me to drive it until I was able to afford a newer car. Not only did it help me financially, but it showed me what type of person he is. He's a man that will spend his time off or on vacation to help his family. He's a man that never asks for anything in return except loyalty and love. There are horrible people in this world, but he is not one of them. He is a man I was to be sharing the roads with, behind in line at the grocery store, and watching my kids play soccer with. When I was first asked to write a letter on his behalf to show examples of his good character, I thought this man is a definition of good character. I understand that his deportation is inevitable, but please don't make him serve any more time in jail. He's not a criminal. He's a total opposite. He's a family man who just wanted to make their life easier, even if it wasn't easy for him. I'm honored and proud to be a part of his family and couldn't ask for a more caring, loving, and incredible father-in-law or brother-in-law. We love him and our family is proud to know him. Signed, Mr. Andrew, Master's in Social Work at the University of Las Vegas. That one wasn't as bad. But the wife, I can't get over the wife's letter. So, in case you guys missed it, Fidel worked 7 days a week. 7 days a week. His letter was better. Okay, I guess there's another brother. Oh. Bazzelli. Do they got a different dad than Candice? They're not a Smith. All right. Here we go. I write this letter with a heavy but hopeful heart on behalf of a family member, Fidel. His wife, Candice, is my brother's wife's sister. Brother's wife's sister. Brother's wife's sister. My brother's wife's sister. So, brother-in-law? Okay, it seems like a loose connection. Not for this family. They're in-laws. Okay. When my brother met his now wife 5 years ago, she brought Candice, Fidel, and their son into our lives. I often joke that it was one of the best parts about him marrying her, the extra family we gained in the deal. Okay. Extra family we gained in the deal. When he says extra family, is he referring to a child or the... What's the deal? Just what the fuck is the deal? Let me read it again. I often joke that it was one of the best parts about him marrying her. The extra family we gained in the deal. Okay. We are unfortunately separated by physical distance, with us living in Cedar City, but we get together when we can and often talk. The last time my family was able to visit Fidel was when we traveled to Salt Lake for an RSL soccer game. We stayed with Fidel and Candice at their request. Even though their apartment was a tight squeeze, they opened up their home to us with gracious enthusiasm. This generosity is the reason we were able to afford to travel for the game. And it was quite an experience. The morning after the game, they took us out to one of their favorite breakfast places. I made the mistake of trying to pay for my family. Fidel would have none of that. We were his guest, and he was intent on treating us. He opened doors, refilled our water glasses from the pitcher, and was kinder to the waitstaff than anyone I've ever dined with. It took me back a little, this chivalry and gentlemanly behavior that I thought was a dying art. Let me bookmark that. Let me read this again. He opened doors, refilled our water glasses from the pitcher, and was kinder to the waitstaff than anyone I've ever dined with. It took me aback a little, this chivalry and gentlemanly behavior that I thought was a dying art. You know why he describes this? Because they are not the people to open doors. They are not the people to be kind to waiters. They are the people to demand, fill up my glass, etc., etc. Do you see where this is going? They're your typical white entitled people. White entitled Americans that type of humbleness shocks them. That type of humbleness, oh, not used to that. I'm used to that from the waiter, not my family. All right. He has taught his son to be the same kind of man. We are saddened by the situation. For his son to grow up without this man's example breaks my heart. The situation is what it is, and I don't argue. My intent in writing this is to let you know what an impact this man made on myself, and while you get a limited picture of him, there is more. For him to serve additional time in the prison setting seems to be against the intent of incarceration, which is punishment, and or to protect us from dangerous criminals. I don't argue that what Fidel has done is right. I do suggest he is far from dangerous and that being separated from his family is the greatest punishment he could receive. I would hope that he would be allowed to return to Mexico as soon as possible so he can begin to put his life back together. I understand that you face a heavy burden as a judge and your decision always leaves someone unsatisfied. I ask that in this case, you please consider his character. I don't like, there's a lot of dangerous criminal terminology being thrown around here. So these letters were written with the intent to avoid a prison sentence because he was waiting to be sentenced for a federal charge of re-entering unlawfully as an aggravated felon. God, these letters, is so many of them. Okay, we have another one. Right. They were encouraging him to be deported so without serving a prison sentence. His deportation was inevitable because he had already been deported. So they were hoping that the judge would spare him from serving any prison time, which that was not the case. He was ordered to serve a year. All right. Fidel is a caring and giving family man who has never hesitated to help me and my family when we needed it, most of the time without even asking. I met Fidel through his wife, Candice, when she and I started working together 5 years ago. In those 5 years, he has helped me buy groceries when I had no food. He helped me pay my rent when things were very bad. And there was even one time he worked on my car for a straight month. Bought all of the parts himself so that it would pass safety and emissions. He never expected repayment and considers my family his, and I consider his family mine. I'm telling you this because I know he can continue to help his family in Mexico, just as he has helped all of us here, family by blood or not. I urge you to consider his quick release so that he can be reunited with his family in Mexico and begin rebuilding his life. He'd be fixing everybody's car. All right. Her brother, Mr. Jesse Smith. Yes, they took advantage of him. I want to highlight this, okay? They exploited the fuck out of him. Yeah, and this is a perfect example. And look, he put himself out there as well. Probably trying to win this white family over for, because you know what I find interesting? All of these character letters are written by her friends or family. Where are his people? Maybe he doesn't have any, but did he not have any other friends if he's been living in Utah since the age of 17? Does he not have coworkers? Does he not have people that he met organically on his own? People, I just find it interesting that all of them have met him through her. There's not a single letter I've read so far of a school friend, a coworker, an organic relationship of just his that could speak to his character. And it's very possible maybe his conocidos were documented. But no coworkers, even no bosses. There had to be somebody in his life that he didn't meet through her that was documented, living his entire life in the US, working 7 days a week. He didn't make any friends on his own. That seems sus. All right. Here's another one. Fidel is my brother-in-law. I've known him for 8 years, have lived and worked alongside him. He's a very loving, supportive, and involved father of my nephew, who misses him dearly. He's always treated me like blood, and it's rare to find someone as passionate about family as he is. Lots of love and care go into all of his relationships. He is helpful to many people, even strangers. He's valuable on so many levels. He's very respectful and sets a great example for my nephew. He's very uplifting when I'm feeling down and very funny. He would be there at midnight in a snowstorm if you asked him for help. He's an amazing person. He's also an excellent cook. He's the hardest working person I've ever met. He has helped me with everything from my car, a place to stay, money, food, and employment. He's always asking me if I'm all right, if everything is good. He's knowledgeable, extremely resourceful, and incredibly giving, which makes a great case for his expedited processing. His sitting in jail versus his making the world a better place, which I truly believe he does. He was a family mechanic, clearly. He fixed everybody's car in that bitch. Oh my God, I'm tired. I am writing, this is the last one. Well, we know the family doesn't have a family mechanic anymore. I am writing this letter on behalf of Fidel. I've known him for 8 years and Candice for 27. Fidel has always been a good father and husband. He's made a good home for them. He's a hard worker and kind. Always puts his family first and treats everyone with respect. We've all made mistakes, and I feel that if he gets deported sooner rather than later, it would be beneficial for all. I'm sorry. The way these people have worded these letters is taking me the fuck out. Again. Let me read this again. Where'd it go? I feel that if he gets deported sooner rather than later, it would be beneficial for all. Fidel would be able to go to work in Mexico and support his family, and they would be able to go visit and have access to him. Hopefully in the future he can go through proper channels and come back to the US and watch his son grow. Let me read that again. Hopefully in the future he can go through proper channels. Hopefully next time he does it the right way. For now, just send him back, is what this letter says. I got another one. This one's a trumper too. I am sure Fidel regrets the mistakes he has made, knowing that he's going to lose some precious years without his family. But they love each other and are fully committed to seeing this through and stand by each other. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Yvette Trujillo. Oh, it had to be a Latino right in this letter. Godmother, Mima, and friend. Not the Latino with the do it the right way. Candice, if you're ever wondering why he got a prison sentence and why he got expeditiously deported, these letters are it. Okay, let this be a fucking case study. Do not have Trump supporters write your letters of character. Please, for the love of God. He was better off without these. He was better off without these letters that referenced him as an illegal immigrant, as a dangerous criminal, do it the right way, deport him sooner than later. Oh my God. The carne asada in onions. I'm sorry. I need another coffee. Did they cut and paste each other's letters? Everybody talks about the same thing. Okay, he works 7 days a week. He likes carne asada. He fixes everybody's car for free, pays everybody's rent, lets everybody live with them. What else? As a summary, did I miss any of the cliff notes on every single letter? Nobody had any unique experiences with him. Oh, and he likes to play waiter. Yeah. Nobody had any unique experiences with him. Everybody talked about the same shit in different verbiage. That's crazy. Read yours, please. I never got this far. I was never charged federally. So I don't have any to read for you. I do have character letters as part of my visa application, but those are not public records. Maybe Candelaria was coaching them. Maybe. You know what I do have that you would probably find interesting is I have letters sent to my sentencing judge that are very juicy in my YouTube channel. You would probably really enjoy those. Those are also character letters, but not positive character letters. Those were letters trying to convince my judge to send me to prison. So I encourage you, they're juicy. Go find them. Yeah, why did all the siblings live with them? Everybody took a turn living in their one-bedroom apartment. And after him being such a good human, none of them advocated for him to stay in the States. Yeah. In fact, all of them encouraged prompt deportation. Or doing it the right way. Look, she's from a family of Trumpers. You could read between the lines in those letters. That is a family of Trumpers. And I can only assume the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. And Candice now advocates for A, B, C, and D because it affected her personally. But prior to that, because again, the first deportation was never brought up. The first deportation was not traumatic. It didn't change her life. Yes, Papi, I'm going to repost this. This is going to be a long live. It's going to be available on YouTube. That was a lot. That was a lot to unpack. So in summary, we didn't end up finding where he served his prison sentence. That's what we were supposed to find, is the facility he served. And I forget why we were looking for that. And we ran into the character letters. Her facts show confirmation bias. I wonder who fixes her cars now. Same. I will say that it does sound like they took advantage of him. But it also sounds like he made himself available to that family overly, likely because there is an incentive there, undocumented. Let's just be so for real, okay? And I'm sure they've fallen in love, and I'm not discrediting that, but he needed them papers. He knocked her up quickly, secured the bag. and took her from her husband. The way her letter was worded tells me she had a husband. She got knocked up with Fidel. Fidel convinced her to leave her husband. They rode off into the sunset. And... oh, wait. What was he? Oh, can you read her lyrics? No way. They were too long. But I will have them available for replay on my YouTube channel. And this live will be public on YouTube. So, no way. That was way too much to reread. Modifications. Please supplement. Judgment. And also, yeah, there isn't anything. He just says he was remanded to the Bureau of Prisons. Oh, yes. We were trying to search if they were actually married so we could find. But look, she did state in her letters that she was his wife. You know, they all refer to him as her husband, so maybe they did. I don't know. I would find it very diabolical, very bold of her to write those letters and claim to be his wife if she wasn't actually his legal wife. But yeah, maybe common law wife, possibly also, yeah, but that counts. That counts. So yeah, look, he was formally charged September 13th, 2006. And he was apprehended by ICE in May of 2016. He's apprehended by ICE May in 2016. He's charged formally 3 months later. And in those 3 months, he's in this limbo in ICE detention. He's sentenced on November 15th, 2016, ordered to serve a year in federal prison, and eventually deported in August of 2017. So he served his entire sentence. They must have given him credit for time served because he was deported in August for the year mark, but he had been in ICE detention for 3 months or so. So, in summary, he served the full year. And that's a wrap. That's all I have for the federal case, y'all. I hope you enjoyed the character letters. Those were interesting. Did not plan for those to be shared on live. I did share hers briefly on the screenshot on my video, but I didn't read it. But it gives additional context. Marriage licenses are public record. But I looked up Utah and it said they're available public 75 years after the marriage or something like that. Yes, enjoyed that. Yeah, that was good. That was a good case study. All right. She went suspiciously silent during the chaos that ensued in PV weeks ago. I thought that was very odd. Like, why not use your platform to speak against the corruption? Well, I mean, in fairness, she doesn't live in PV. I seen another cheese on the page. Someone said he has us. Oh, I don't know that. I can't speak on that. Are you even stopping to think that these letters were for him to be released? Yes, I said that. I said that these letters were ahead of his sentencing hearing to avoid a prison sentence. But I still think the verbiage matters and that nobody even said, you know, the verbiage speaks for itself. But I did clarify that these were letters written ahead of his sentencing. He had been charged, he had pled guilty. So these weren't character letters for immigration relief. These were character letters to help him avoid serving prison time. Can we watch the video? Yes, absolutely. You can actually you can go back right now if you wanted to on YouTube. I will have this video available for replay publicly. So we've been on here for a minute. But yeah, you guys can catch up. There's a lot of context here that you'll enjoy. I didn't want to. Okay, I'm going to talk about one thing. Okay, because somebody dropped this. Since we're just kind of talking about everything. Somebody said he probably has a sancha when she leaves town and blah blah blah. I didn't want to bring that up, but I saw something on the other page. I'm going to take you guys back to her collab with Rafa. Something that stuck out to me. We know Candice has a thing for Mexican men, right? Right. Okay. During her collaboration with Rafa, And he told me that they would text almost daily. She showed a screenshot where she called Rafa to vent about me, 20-minute FaceTime calls, you know, so she had a lot of rapport with Rafa. I thought that was very odd behavior as a married woman. Very, very odd. Like, why are you befriending these men and then like having day-to-day conversations with them? Why are you calling Rafa to vent about me and not your husband? You know? Do you see where I'm going with this? That are you catching my drift? That it's an inappropriate behavior, that she had these collaborations and these friendships with Carlos, with Rafa, being a married woman, and they are also married, by the way. Yes, Rafa's attractive. So I just thought that was very odd. Like read between the lines now. When we're seeing her engage. So when we talk about, oh, Fidel's probably doing this, how do they communicate? My speculation is they don't. They have very separate lives. She can't even vent to her husband. You think that doesn't cause, you know, she's getting attention on social media. Where do you think she fills that emotional void? Why is she, when I asked, why does she reach out to men and not befriend the women? I don't know. 1 + 1 = 2. She's been married for 15 years. Why is she having these FaceTime calls with married men venting? It wasn't about the collab. It wasn't about the podcast. That particular call that she showed herself was her calling him for 20 minutes on a video FaceTime. And then Rafa later said that they talked daily. There were a lot of FaceTimes. There were a lot of calls. And he might even, I don't know if he's in here, but there was a daily, like there was a report there that I believe is inappropriate for a married woman. So wouldn't surprise me that, you know, that's how she fills her emotional bucket. That's how she makes friends. That's how she clicks with people from her, you know, because I'm gonna be honest, like how do you share intimacy with somebody that you can't really communicate with? Fidel doesn't even understand her online world. Okay. She can't even be like, yo, this just happened, like this big, blah, 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 whatever, right? So she's got to call people like Rafa that, mind you, when she called him, she'd only been talking to him for 2 weeks. Go back to the dates. She showed the screenshot. I showed you when she connected with Rafa early May. That FaceTime call to vent to him was about mid-May. So she'd known him for 2 to 3 weeks, was already talking to him daily, calling him, venting, FaceTime calls, this and that. You don't see that as inappropriate? It's weird behavior for a married woman that's been married for so long and has a stable, loving relationship. I think it's weird. I think it's very telling that she befriends the husbands. Why wasn't she besties with Alondra, whatever his name is? Why was the collab with Carlos and not Alondra? Why is the collab with Rafa and not women? Why didn't she ever reach out to Mama de Huarache? She reached out to all the other PV creators in that group. Only the men. 1 + 1 = 2. At this point, we're just chismeando, you guys, okay? Feel free to, like, and I'm just chismeando. I'm speculating. These are my personal opinions. Yeah. Read between the lines the same way we just read between the lines of these character letters. That's what she's been doing since she was 18 years old. Because when she met Fidel, she was already married to Ferguson. What was she doing with Fidel when she had a whole husband at home? Probably venting about the husband at home. So that's a great observation that you make, Diane, on my YouTube memberships or channel. That's her pattern since she was 18. That's how she ended up in the position she ended up in. That's why she was scared to death when she got pregnant. Her husband was older. He was 36 when she was 18. And when she met Fidel, he was 26 and she was 18. Or I have no idea who Ortiz is. I just know it's somebody she got a protective order on in 2008. Allegedly. Stephanie Bestie, thank you so much for your doubles. God, I'm sorry. I haven't even paying attention to entries. Isn't Rafa married? I don't know much about his personal life, but I do believe he shared some context that he's also married. So again, these collabs that she reaches out to are also married men. Why is she not befriending the wives? Why does she only befriend the men? Now, I want to give you guys some context here, but if I'm a married woman engaging in behavior that I shouldn't be or wanting some type of extramarital fun, I'm probably going to look for a married man that is looking for the same thing. See what I'm saying? Why? Because it wouldn't make sense for her to be befriending single men because that just wouldn't look good. Right? But also, a single man probably isn't going to co-sign dating a married mother. But two married people that want to, and again, I'm not insinuating that Rafa's cheating on his wife at all, okay? I'm highlighting the repeated behavior on her part and why she targets the male creators. And I do believe that she targeted certain creators, especially Rafa, and he saw through it very quickly and stepped away. But initially, her intent for approaching these male creators, in my opinion, is to make those emotional connections. Not entirely collapse. She doesn't show the same love to that other lady from Oaxaca. I don't know who that is. Was she married as a minor? I have not been able to confirm when she was married. But I can only confirm she was divorced in 2012. So she got married some time before then. And it's confusing because she got with Fidel when she was 18, baby at 19. So where in that timeline did you have time to pick up a husband and then divorce him? The other son looks more Mexican. Yeah. But we do, again, she has her preference, I think it's safe to say, is Mexican men. As it should be. Mine is too, girl. Get that sauce on. Anyway, yeah, guys, good talk. Good shit. I did not expect this live to be this long. Is this exhausting? Like me? So I don't think that she's Mormon. Based on the character letters, they got a character reference letter from a Catholic pastor. I would assume that if they were part of the church, they would have received support from the Mormon church. Moonchild, thank you so much for the gift. What sopa do you have on Candice's sister? I didn't say she needs to watch out. I just made a comment about her because I received information that she watches my lives with her. I don't even know she had a sister. And Candice's sister is the biggest trumper of them all, okay? Her sister's letter for Fidel was the most disgusting one. Yeah. Donation. Wait. Catholics don't have pastor. Did I save the letters? It was a something from a Catholic church. Maybe I didn't read the title right, but it was I don't know if it was a priest. Don't quote me on the title, and I close up the letters. New to your channel, will subscribe to Juanita, but left her channel. Welcome, bestie. Maybe a deacon. Maybe she converted to Catholic after she married Fidel. Hey, you know what? That's a possibility because most a large amount of Mexicans are Catholic. Long live carne asada and onions. Can we read the sister's letter again? Oh, I closed it out, but that shit was funny. The carne asada and onions. Nicole, for the love of God, like, you did not help that man. I don't want to read them again, but the carne asada and onions was diabolical. The carne asada with onions and the fucking illegal immigrant and dangerous criminal and all that shit, you just should have not. I'm Catholic. Sister for carnes, sticker for carne asada and onions. I believe she was raised Mormon. And there's nothing wrong with that. My family's Mormon. But just the reason why I mentioned Mormon is because that has an influence on certain behavior and activity. And for example, her marrying older men and shit like that, the Ferguson, like I wouldn't, it just came off as Mormon activity. So maybe she did convert, who knows? I did hear she was Mormon. Maybe she was Mormon and he was a Catholic one. And maybe that character letter was the one person that he organically knew. Mr. Ferguson is 51 now. Yeah. So yeah, that would make sense that he's Catholic and she's Mormon. I'm not gonna wipe out the Mormon because I know Mormon behavior when I see it. I was raised with them. My family's also Mormon. I had to go to Mormon church. My mom tried to convert me so many times. The amount of times missionaries came to my house. I am the resistance. Okay, it's just not for me. Mormonism is just not for me. Yes, so getting married young, I think, is very much a Utah thing embedded from the Mormon church. Okay, I was also married at the age of 18. In Utah, the culture is you marry, you have kids young, and you've made it. Having a family in Utah is like the goal. The only ambition most women have. Like, we're conditioned in Utah that our goal is finding a good husband and having children, which is why a lot of us have kids so young and get married young. So I got married when I was 18. And, I thought I had no ambitions for education. No, nothing. My only goal was getting married, having kids. And that is very much Utah culture. It's why we end up having so many of them. Right? So that's why when I saw, like, she was already married to Ferguson and he's so much older, like that is in line with Mormon culture. I agree, Elizabeth. It's very detrimental the way Utah culture conditions us, that finding a husband is if we find a good husband, that's it. And having kids is the goal, the move, So, and that's why it's also so common in Utah that a lot of women have multiple baby daddies because we start so young. And most of us don't end up with them, and then we do it again because we're trying to end up with that family life that we're conditioned to believe that is the ultimate goal in Utah. Women are vessels. Yeah, so they encourage you to have hella kids. So it's normal in Utah for people to have 5 kids. Come on, ex-husband. No, guys, let's not do that. I'm a big fan of pulling receipts and doing research, but I don't agree with harassing people from people's past lives and do you have dirt and what can you tell us? I'm not a fan of that. If people want to come forward on their own, by all means, but we will not be tracking down anyone's ex-husband or asking for interviews. The most tracking we will do is police reports and court records. That is my style. Everything else, like, leave that shit for the birds. I love my children, but motherhood is very glamorized. Absolutely. Only Mr. B. Even Mr. B, I'm not reaching out to his, And Mr. B and I, we have a personal, we know each other in real life. Girl, that's what you're doing. I have not reached out to anybody in her personal life from her past. I reached out for court records and public documents. That is very different than me seeking out people that know her, seeking out her ex-husband, seeking out anybody that could tell me what happened. I'm going off of factual information available through public records, court filings, police reports, her own interviews, her own content. So no, I'm not reaching out to anybody asking, do you know stuff about Candice? That's not my style. That's not good journalism. That's not good reporting, and that's not factual. That's just rumors. I'm looking for rumors on Candice. It's only a matter of time before people start speaking of everything done in dark. Yes. I like to reach out to her Puebla. I have a personal opinion that people are not a fan of her in Puebla. And the only reason they tolerate her is because she symbolizes financial support, particularly the school. I have a strong belief that people in that tiny town are not a fan of her gentrification, bringing in, Thanksgiving, cameras everywhere. vlogging everything, the school, the kids at the school. I'm certain that they're not fans of it. You keep mentioning journalism. You consider yourself a journalist. This is very much journalist activity. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm a jack of all trades. Christmas and Halloween. Yeah. The I make donations to the animal shelters. I do this for the school, blah blah blah. I just, knowing how, like, my experience with how traditional, especially in rural towns like that, promise you they don't glorify her the way that social media does. Promise you she's not. But the reason why some of them probably tolerate her is because she brings in money. She brings in resources to the school. She brings in supplies. She brings in this. She gives them crumbs of what she makes off of them and exploiting, people for content. But yeah. Honestly, I think you're jealous of her. Honestly, I get that a lot. I'm not jealous of her. People can have opinions, commentary. There is nothing she has that I wish that I had. I love my story. I love me. There's nothing she has that I don't already have at all. And our stories aren't even comparable. So what would I be jealous of? Like, honestly, when you guys tell me, you're just jealous, this is jealous behavior. I have opinions. I have opinions on a public figure. That doesn't make me jealous. I could say the same when when Chisme pages make, commentary on A, B, C, or D. Do you go in there and tell me, you're just jealous, this is why you're making... No, we just have opinions. What are we jealous of? No one is jealous of any of this stuff that I'm breaking down. I don't wish that for me. I don't. There's nothing she has that I could possibly want. I have a lot of other feelings and opinions and this and that. Her home build, I have my own homes. I own my own homes. I already built a house on my own without having to depend on my abusive ex or husband or baby dad. So if we're gonna compare, well, she has this and you don't have that, I think that's childish. She has nothing that I don't already have that I can't provide for my children on my own. This is not about jealousy. It's about a lot of other things, but jealousy is not one of them. You exercise discernment, that's why you can't fall for the Mormon doctrine or cults. I don't fall for the Mormon cult or whatever because I was raised Catholic. I have a hard time rewiring the way that I was raised, particularly when it comes to religion. So my whole life I was raised Catholic. Now I'm being told there's this other religion that's the real religion, and I cannot force myself to rewire. That's why the Mormon thing was never for me. That John Smith and the this, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. Like, I was raised strictly Catholic. So I have Catholic wiring. And believing in the Mormon culture means that some of the Catholic stuff isn't true that I believed my whole life. So I didn't agree with that. I didn't agree with rewiring myself to a new religion. And that's really the root of it. I was raised a certain way, and those are my beliefs, and I'm not changing them just because a missionary said that Joseph Smith existed in A, B, C, and D. And that you can't do this. And I just think the Mormon religion is weird. It's got a lot of, you can't do this, you can't do that. And, I don't know. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. You didn't build your homes with PPP money. I didn't need to. I was able to obtain funds through other ways. I sold my ass. I built my home with my ass. I didn't have to defraud anybody for that. And I like that. There was a time where I defrauded people for other things. But if we're talking about my home, well, I didn't need to. How's your OnlyFans career going? I wouldn't call it a career, but it goes well. Me va bien. What's your opinion of the tools that was supposedly stolen from them? I call BS. Knowing what I know now, I think that was also a facade. It was a way to get new tools and tons of donations. I don't believe that her tools were actually stolen, or I think that was a whole BS. And it was a strategic way of marketing to obtain thousands of dollars in donations, free tools. And she didn't know that the free tools were coming, but she didn't skip a beat to accept them, right? It was a strategic way to say this happened to us and we can't continue our build until we replace our tools. So we're just going to have to take a pause. We don't want you to pause. No, we're going to help you make sure you don't pause because we like seeing the home build. So here you go. She received thousands of dollars during that, I promise you. Of course, she didn't publicize. So aside from those tools, people donated. That's what you call, what is it that you guys call it? Dry begging or grifting or whatever the fuck. It's a strategic way to ask for donations indirectly. This just happened to me. I won't be able to continue doing this. So sorry, guys, we're going to have to take a break from building. Absolutely not. Like, let's all pitch in and donate to help them build their dream home. That's exactly what happened. She's very good at her marketing and the way she strategizes her wording. So she's never asked for donations. How many times have I heard she doesn't ask for donations? Yes, she does. Just strategically. And that's where her MBA comes in. That's where her master's comes in. Her wording, she's great at the way that she words things strategically so that it's not perceived for what it is. The same way that the thing with the news article, the same way, the wording she used in the news article was very strategic. And then people were like, she didn't tell them to not use you. She just said this. She didn't ask for donations. People donated on their own because they wanted to. It was strategic. The disclaimer in her video is wild. Oh, check your email. Let me look. Oh, did we get a reply from the public? Okay, is that just a confirmation? Yeah, right? Confirmation of our Gramma Request. Okay, gotta go pee again. Watch my step. You're very judgmental for someone with your past. Am I judgmental or am I just calling shit off for what it is? Her donating money to the kindergarten, fixing up, buying gifts, and supporting dog shelters, that's part of her strategy and marketing on its own. Yes. All of that, she makes thousands of dollars by saying that, and she donates probably less than 1/8 of it, right? Because that's part of her white savior image. And how many times have people been like, Candice does so much for her community. She does this, she does that, right? These donations are not actually donations because she's exploiting these people. She's exploiting them through content, and a small amount of that money goes to them, and then the rest goes to Candice. Is it really a donation? Is it really a donation when she's making content off of them, receiving thousands of it through her YouTube channel and giving them a tiny bit of it? Is that actually a donation? A donation would be that it comes from her own pockets, but that money is coming in from viewers consuming the content featuring those people, the shelter, the school, the kids. So you're using their image to monetize and giving them 1/8 of it, if that. And then we're calling it donations. Donations would be if she was out here working independently and some money from her MBA was going to those shelters. That is a donation. But when you're creating content on these people with these kids' images, these schools, whatever, that's not really a donation. That is, you're exploiting them and you give them crumbs of what you make off of that and you keep the rest for yourself and your family. And nobody's ever asked for receipts. I remember when I was doing donations off my raffles, people demanded receipts and they accused me of fraud. They accused me of exploiting children in poverty for my own benefit. Nobody ever asked Candice for them, though. I wonder why. Nobody's ever questioned if she actually donates to the animal shelter. Nobody's ever questioned how much she makes and how much she donates. They just take her for face value. She donates this and she donates that. How much content does she make off of that school? How much content does she make giving those supplies? How much content does she make off of what she's donating to? Go look at her monetized YouTube channel. thousands of dollars come in from that content. And then a little bit, let me go buy some school supplies. Pa que digan que les di algo. So it's not really a donation. You always denied asking for donations after doing it. I didn't ask for donations. I did raffles for specific causes. So a raffle and a donation is very different. You never saw me do a GoFundMe. You never saw me, hey, send me money for this and I'll do this. It was always a raffle. So you were purchasing something from me. And amounts from that was put into those projects. So mine were not donations, they were raffles. The same way that I'm currently doing a raffle right now. So raffles are not donations. Why? Because they incur cost. It's for a specific cause and people know that they're buying something. You're gambling something. It's not just you're giving away free money. So a raffle is different than a donation. So when people would say donations, I would clear it up. I never accepted donations. What I did was I hosted raffle for specific causes that my audience knew what it was for. My audience trusted me with. My audience helped me do A, B, C, and D. So, and I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it because of that. I was like, there's no reason for me to open the door for this, for that, for this. And I got so much hate for it. I was never praised the way Candice is for donating school supplies through an Amazon wish list. I was never praised for walking buckets of school supplies across hanging bridges to rural towns. I was told I was scamming and taking advantage and blah, 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 blah. See what I'm saying? Okay, I'm gonna go pee. Oh, this live is way too long. That's why the school lets her be head of the PTA. I saw that once she started putting money into the school, she's head of the PTA. That's why I'm saying, like, especially people in vulnerable situations like that, where some of them can't even afford their own school supplies, right? Candice comes in with a bag of money. Let me film and I'll do this and you get this. Of course. Of course. She can't even speak Spanish. How the fuck is she head of PTA? Come on, be so for real. My girlfriend said I listen to you more than hers. PPP loan money. I'm sure there's more where that came from. We should wrap up soon. That was a long ass live. I had a good time. This was fun. This was fun. We dove into some receipts. I was shocked when she said she's teaching kids English. Like, how if she doesn't know Spanish? Because in her defense, English teachers are hired for it. It's better if you don't speak to them in Spanish, because then it forces them to adapt to English. I want to say thanks for opening my eyes. I would read people's comments not being nice to you, but you opened my eyes. Look, Candice has a huge fan base, right? So yes, we're in the comment section getting dragged left and right. Every time I make content on this, dragged to hell and back. But that's not going to make me be quiet. These are my opinions. And if her fans feel so strongly, and I love Candice. Okay, so why are you on my page? You don't got to tell me you love Candice. Go tell Candice you love Candice on Candice's page. I find it interesting the amount of Candice fans that will come and engage in this content, watch it, consume it, and then be mad that I create it. Because if y'all wouldn't watch, I wouldn't make content on this. 100%. If you did not give me the views for this and the engagement, I would move on to something else. Right? But when you guys feed and consume the content as her fans, like, you're only pushing it to keep going. We've been in here for almost 3 hours with 8 to 1,000 people for this whole 3 to 4 hours. So you see what I'm saying? So y'all are part of the problem, Candice fans. And you can still, like, I've never said that you shouldn't follow her. You should do this, you should do that. Do what you want, support who you want, consume who you want. This content isn't for her fan base, it's for mine. It's for my audience. And there's been a lot of people that have made decisions whether they want to support her or not, but at least now they know what they're supporting. Now everybody knows what you support when you are supporting certain platforms. If you support Annie's platform, you know, you're okay with fraud to some degree. If you support me, you're okay with A, B, C, and D, and those things can align with your morals, and that's okay. But at least you know who you're co-signing. When you support platforms like that, well, now we can also confidently say you condone certain things without accountability, right? So to each their own, but at least now people can make informed decisions on where they want to put their money, where they want to subscribe, where they want to follow. And I think it's important to note that this is predominantly a Latino community supporting and justifying, you know, and supporting the oppressors. I'm sorry, I don't know how else to say it. Never been her fan. I followed her initially, you know. I consumed her content for, you know, and then once I found out the truth, not for me. He gained so many followers. Yeah, we went viral during the drone footage. I will tell you that I lose followers every time I make content on this. Yes, I do. I don't have a problem with it. I rather them drop like flies. I have to clean house every so often with this type of content because it tells me a lot about who's following me when you side with certain things. You're not for the people. You're not for the community. You're for the whites. And I'm sorry. And these topics, you're for the Trump supporting family writing character letters for illegal immigrants. 100% Candice and her family are Trumpers. Those character letters were so telling, so fucking telling. And I suspected it because when they're from Utah, white people from Utah. How many of those have we seen in the last year? You know, wives of deported immigrants that all of a sudden care a lot about deportation, all of a sudden are advocating and GoFundMes and this and that. But 2 or 3, 4, 5 years ago, you were voting for this. And her family probably still is. I got in on her comments on her rebuttal video. Oh, did she make one today? I haven't seen a response video. She's responded. She usually responds eventually. But I would be surprised if she responded to this. Truly would. Someone else I watched were kind of quiet and did say they don't follow her when someone from the other page told her to contact Candice. That told me something. That's Rich Boy Knox. I don't think so. We already did him. We already did him on TikTok. I don't think it's worth recycling on YouTube. A white lady capitalizing off lies of Mexican people, pain we live in such a backwards world. Thank you. Because that's really the root of my resentment and my issue with this whole thing. Why are we allowing a white privileged Candice Smith to represent us in our own country? Like, that is enraging to me. And the amount of Latinos that justify it, that justify white privilege in our own country, is disgusting to me. Why is the truth so offensive? They're uncomfortable topics to have. That's crazy. Yeah, you should see the amount of Maria Sanchez that I have in my comment section batting for her all over. Leave Candice alone and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, look at the big picture, bro. But Candice lies and gets put on a pedestal, right? Maria Sanchez, yeah. Maria Sanchez is an inside joke if you watched the YouTube video, episode 2. Y las cebollas y la carne asada. I kind of want to read that letter one more time. Okay, look, to close, let me pull up the letter again. I should have saved them. I didn't save them. I gotta log in and paste her again. Okay, you guys want to listen to the letter again? One more time. One more time for the fun time. Save. I need to save these so I don't have to download them again. You missed it? Okay, hold on. Just one though, because we're not reading all 12 of them. Just one. Just the sisters. It was the juiciest one. It was the stupidest one. Does everyone think that they'd be able to do what they're doing with their home built if it wasn't for a marketing strategy? No. She would not be where she is without social media. I would not be where I am without social media. We rely on it. Let me save this to my files. Oh, okay, hers. Do you guys want, I'll read both. I'll read hers and the sisters, okay? I will read hers and the sisters in summary, and then we will close, okay? Let me put this in my files so I don't have to download it again later on and log back in. All right, here we go. Story time. As a preface, these were letters that were written ahead of Fidel's sentencing hearing for unlawful reentry as a previously removed alien. And the goal of these letters was to spare him a prison sentence and encourage the judge to just redeport him to Mexico swiftly without him having to serve any time. I'm going to start with Candice's, okay? My name is Candice. I am the wife of Fidel Garcia. I'm writing this letter today in hopes of conveying to the court the character of my husband. 8 years ago today, I met Fidel. I fell in love with him almost instantly. And shortly after our relationship began, approximately 3 months, I found out I was pregnant with our son, who was now 6 years old. The day I found out I was pregnant was the scariest day in my life. But it was also the day I knew for certain that I would spend the rest of my life with his father and not my current legal husband. A million different emotions overcame me when I told him I was pregnant. I was teary-eyed and shaking as I stood in front of him holding my positive pregnancy test. He took my hands in his, and I will never forget what he said to me. He said, "Everything is going to be just fine if you leave your husband. If you are willing to take this on with me and leave your husband, we will be a family. I promise I will love and care for you and our child for the rest of our lives if you leave your husband." I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Candice. Okay. I remember that he didn't look terrified, as I am sure I did, or worried. But he looked happy and ready, and I knew that he meant every word. This was the first of many moments that I would come to understand what family truly means to Fidel. All of the character letters you will receive on behalf of Fidel will give you examples of how hardworking my husband is and many things he has done for our extended family and friends. I'd like to tell you what he's done for myself and our son and what his presence has taught us about love and sacrifice. From the moment I met him, he has worked 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. He's missed family celebrations, school activities, and many milestones in our son's life. These missed moments were certainly not by choice and were always a struggle for me. He missed things because he wanted to ensure that our son had everything we needed. My husband knew that he could not give us the same security that other husbands and fathers could give their families. So he worked tirelessly day in and day out to give us as much as he possibly could at the expenses of these missed moments. He supported me throughout my career and my quest for an education. He's the reason I was able to complete my bachelor's degree in criminal justice and human services. He then continued to support me through my master's in business administration, which I will complete in February of 2017. Without his love and support, neither of these degrees would have been possible. He knows and constantly reminds me that when I am in doubt, how important my education and career are for our family. My husband has taught our son the importance of hard work. He has taught him to have compassion even when others do not. He's taught him to stand up for himself. He's taught him to respect women and how to be a gentleman. I have a really hard time reading that one out loud because, let me read it again. This is after the DV, mind you. He has taught him to respect women and how to be a gentleman, although he committed domestic violence in his presence. All right. He continues to support him and encourage him through schooling because he wants him to have every opportunity that Fidel did not have. Our son loves his dad with all of his heart, also knows that he has made mistakes in the past because he was present for them, and his dad will always be his hero. Was our son born after divorce from hubby? No. It was born during the marriage. He was born, sorry, not it. Fidel and I are not a perfect couple by far. We have both made mistakes in the past, but we love each other deeply and unconditionally. We have overcome many obstacles, like domestic violence, and doubts, and we have learned from them and moved forward. I will not make mistakes for the choices my husband has made in his life, except for when I tell my viewers on YouTube, nor do I make any excuses, except for on TikTok and YouTube, for my part in these mistakes or my own past mistakes. What I will tell you is that he does everything he can to overcome these mistakes and take care of his responsibilities. He's generous, loving, hardworking. My son and I will forever love him. The punishment of being without us is greater than any punishment we could receive, and watching this all unfold over the past several months has been the hardest thing I have ever been through. But his first deportation in 2012 wasn't hard at all. I am asking this court to look beyond his record and judge him not by his past, but by the man and father he is today. I'm asking he's allowed to return to Mexico swiftly so we can begin to rebuild our lives. Okay, that was a lot. I'm only going to read one more. Okay, the sister. This is the one with the carne asada and the onions. Oh, I'm getting tired, y'all. I need some cheese in my bucks. Okay, if you want to hear the sisters cheese and onions, sorry, carne asada and onions, we need cheese in my bucks. Nicole's is, this letter is so bad. So bad. Candice, did you like approve these? She did. I can only, look, this is very telling. Candice was in charge of getting these letters together, right? I'm sure she asked her friends and family. They sent it to her, and then Candice sent it to the attorney. So all these statements that were made here, the Trump supporting statements, okay, Trump was he president back then? Actually, yes. Trump was president in 2017, wasn't he? No, or was it 2018? When did Trump go into 2016? So Trump was president at this time. Yes, he was. Okay, so Candice had to review these letters, approve them, and send them in. So understand that all the statements that were made that were very right-leaning statements were co-signed by Candice. So I'm not far off when I say that this is a family of Trump supporters. And here goes. Buckle up. Fidel is my brother-in-law and the most generous man I know. I have known him for 8 years. In those 8 years, he's shown nothing but love and kindness to my sister, my nephew, and my entire family. I remember many times when I would visit them, and he would come home late, covered in dirt. I'm sorry, I missed that the first time. Covered in dirt, worn hands, and an exhausted look on his face. I'm sorry, but the covered in dirt is off to me. Fucking Nicole, man, you were just not good at this. You were not good at this. He would walk in the door, greet us all, and act as if he had not been working tirelessly for the entire day. He worked construction and as a mechanic for all the years I have known him. He worked 7 days a week from dawn to dusk to provide for his family. He worked so his family was provided for as my sister pursued her master's of business degree, which she will graduate in February. He never complained and worked harder than anyone I knew. He loves his family, and it's evident in all he did for them. That's the first paragraph. Can we pause really quick? Because I missed this the first time that we wrote it. The covered in dirt is very telling. He would come home late, covered in dirt, worn hands, and an exhausted look on his face. This will make more sense as I read the rest, okay? He not only provided for his family, he constantly sought ways to help anyone in need. When I was 18 and struggling to live on my own, he pushed my sister to allow me to stay with them in their 1-bedroom apartment for free. Not to mention they had a newborn to care for and my sister was in school. He would not let me pay for anything in the home, although I knew they were struggling. He assured me in his broken English that he was my family and that's what family does. Broken English is another key statement. Why is a broken English necessary? Why is the covered in dirt necessary? I want you to start reading between the lines. His selflessness was not changed over the years as he repeatedly came to visit my husband and I in Vegas when we were both struggling with completing our master's degree. He drove hours to repair our vehicle so that we could make it to school and work. He never let us pay for his labor. And even though it would often take all weekend, he would make us a large meal of carne asada and onions and remind me that he was my family and that's what family does. I want to know why she had to specify that it was carne asada and onions. Why she had to specify broken English. Why she had to specify covered in dirt. Pay attention. There's a lot of information here written in between these paragraphs. Okay. It gets worse. I am positive he told my younger sister the same thing when she lived in their apartment rent-free for over a year. I'm sure he told that to my mother when he would find the money in their tight budget to send my sister and nephew to my mother's house for all the holidays, even though he was working. I am sure Fidel told that to his brother's family, that he often supported when they could not make ends meet, and his elderly mother in Mexico he often sent money to. I am sure Fidel reminded my brother what family does when he insisted my brother stay with them as well and got him a job at his construction site. I am sure the man sitting in front of you looks like another illegal immigrant who broke our laws. But I hope you see him for more than that. I hope this letter and other letters you receive show how loved, admired, and supported he is. He is a great man, and his mistakes do not define who he is. These letters do. Okay, class, who can point out the Trump-supporting identifying statements in this letter? Let me read that last paragraph one more time. I am sure the man sitting in front of you looks like another illegal immigrant who broke our laws. But I hope you see him for more than that because that's my sister's husband. But the rest of them, illegal immigrants. Our laws, not theirs, ours. Broken English, illegal immigrant, covered in dirt, onions and carne asada. Nicole, we need, step to the fucking front, Nicole. First of all, Nicole, don't ever fucking write another letter for anybody in immigration proceedings, please. Please. Nicole Bazzelli, treatment coordinator, behavioral services. Yeah. The mom. I think the mom said something like that too. Hold on. Where's the mom? The mom. The dangerous criminal. Where's the dangerous criminal statement? Who does anybody remember who called him he's not a dangerous criminal? So many directas. Nicole is Candice's sister. Are lost. She doesn't see him as one of them, just as the help. The mom called him. All right. Look, now we're reading all of them again. Let me find the mama. Where is it? I swear to God, it was in here. Nicole. Oh, the mom. Here's the mom. Writing this letter on behalf of Fidel, have known him for 8 years, has always treated his family and friends with kindness and concern for their welfare. He's always willing to go the extra mile to help wherever he can, all without a word of complaint. I've witnessed the love he has for my daughter and my grandson. He's always worked 12-hour days, 7 days a week to put a roof over their head. He goes out of his way to make sure we're all taken care of. Fidel is not a dangerous criminal. He made a mistake. But beyond that mistake, he has always been focused on providing for my daughter. Remind you, this was during the Trump era. Why is dangerous criminal important? Because what did Trump refer to us as in all of his campaigns? What is Trump's favorite verbiage when referring to us? Dangerous criminals. This one is, again, Fidel is not a dangerous criminal. He made a mistake. He's not one of them because he's my daughter's husband. He's not one of them. He's not one of them. The sister said, I know you're looking at somebody that looks just like another illegal immigrant. There's another one. What was the other one? Who else said some stupid shit like this? Her entire family is Trump supporters. Her entire family. All of them. Every single letter. Oh, let me read the one about the help. Who was it that talks about the help? The brother. The brother. This one. Okay, the brother. I'm not going to read the whole letter. Just a statement where he talks about the help. Okay. He's my brother's wife's sister. Actually, fuck it. Let me just read the whole thing. Okay. It's with a heavy heart, but a hopeful heart, on behalf of a family member, Fidel, that I'm writing this letter. His wife, Candice, is my brother's wife's sister. Seems like a loose connection, not for his family, not for this family. When my brother met his now wife 5 years ago, she brought Candice, Fidel, and their son into our lives. I often joke that it was one of the best parts about marrying her. The extra family we gained in the deal. Extra family is key word to me. Deal is key word to me. What is the deal? Austin Bazzelli, what the fuck was the deal in this marriage? Could the deal be papered? I don't know. Whatever. Okay, I'm speculating. We are unfortunately separated by physical distance, with us living in Cedar City, but we get together when we can talk. The last time we were able to visit them was when we went to watch an RSL soccer game. We stayed with them at their request, although their apartment is tiny and small. They opened up their home to us. The morning after the game, they took us out to one of their favorite breakfast places. I made the mistake of trying to pay for my family. Fidel said he would have none of that. We were his guests, and he was intent on treating us. He opened doors, refilled our water glasses from the pitcher, and was kinder to the waitstaff than anyone I've ever dined with. It took me aback a little, this chivalry and gentlemanly behavior that I thought was a dying art. Let me read that again. He opened doors, refilled our water glasses from the pitcher, was kinder to the wait staff than anyone I've ever dined with. It took me aback a little, the chivalry and gentlemanly behavior that I thought was a dying art. Candice's family is not used to humble men like Fidel because they are entitled white people that treat their waiters and their staff like shit. That's why he thinks it's a dying art. For him to serve additional time in a prison setting seems to be against the intent of incarceration, which is punishment and or to protect us from dangerous criminals. There it is again, the dangerous criminals. Let me read that again. For him to serve additional time in a prison setting seems to be against the intent of incarceration, which is punishment and or to protect us from dangerous criminals. What's Trump's favorite reference to immigrants? 10 points. What's Trump's favorite word to refer to immigrants as? Multiple of her family members have used the same verbiage. Dangerous criminals, illegal immigrant. Yeah. Dangerous criminals. Okay. Candice is a Trumper. Or at least was. And her family's a Trumper. Her family is Trumpers. This is what it looks like when Trumpers try to write character letters of support for illegal immigrants who they think should be exempt to the dehumanization and decriminalization solely because they are related or dating or married to one of theirs. Perfect example. Case study. The same people that vote for these policies that are ripping families apart are people that ask for exceptions when it reaches their families, and only then. Fidel is not a dangerous criminal. He just made a mistake. I know he looks like just another illegal immigrant, but I hope you see him for more because that's my sister's husband. And Candice is a perfect example of American citizens that all of a sudden are vocally, loudly advocating for humanity, deportation, only when it has reached their family. And that's all, class. I'm not going to read the remaining of them. They're all similar. In fact, I would not doubt it that Candice wrote these. They all seem to have the same tone. They have the same verbiage. They all have different letterhead, different font. But it's the same story recycled over and over. With the exception of Candice's, the rest of them are just, they sound the same. And with the exception of the one from the Reverend. It was very just short. It was like a paragraph long. How long have we been on? 3.5 hours. Cheese my bugs, please. Cheese my bugs. Make this life worth it. Yeah. Do with that information what you will. All right, guys. Any last questions, comments before we wrap up? It's cookie cutter letter. Oh, Analia, bestie, thank you so much. I love you. Almost 4 hours obsessing over another woman, or almost 4 hours monetizing over content, commentary, case studies. It's all about perspective. I actually really enjoyed going down the rabbit hole pulling up the case, doing detective work. I was really intrigued this morning. There were just things that I couldn't piece together. Like, I'm invested. So I enjoyed this. I had a good time. I think we covered a lot of good material. I told you guys it was going to be messy. I told you guys this is not for her fans. It is a group project. We filed a Gramma Request. We pulled up court records. We read through character letters. We filed a whole paternity suit up in this lab. We figured out who's a daddy. We figured out who's a citizen, who's a Mexican, who's not. We pieced it together here. Okay. Annie, this is my first live. I'm glad I caught you. Thank you for joining, Bessie. Annie, you had me rolling with it. Whose baby is that? Who's a papi? We figured out who's not the legal papi. I'm not talking about biological, but we figured out who's not the legal papi. Tina, bestie, thank you so much. She just sent me $50 for Cheesema support on YouTube. Shout out to you, Tina. Thank you for making my time worth it and valuing my time for this 4-hour live, because thank you so much. So who's a papi? I can only say that the legal papi is not Fidel. If my calculations are correct, based on my speculations, based on my research, based on circumstantial evidence, the first baby does not have a legal father on the birth certificate, and if such exists, it's not Fidel. The first child is not a Mexican citizen and doesn't have a right to Mexican citizenship. That is my speculation. Could I be wrong? Possibly. But all my research points to that. I said from the beginning, the legal father of that child was Mr. Ferguson. And there was never any paternity suit or any court document filed to rebut that or to assign the paternity to the biological father if Fidel is such. So, the legal papi was Mr. Ferguson. When they were divorced, that child wasn't mentioned in the divorce, which she should have. That would have been her opportunity to assign legal paternity to the biological father. In the eyes of the law, the legal father is Mr. Ferguson. And it still is, even though they're divorced, because that child was born during that marriage and there was not a paternity suit filed to refute that. So even though there was a divorce issued, and that divorce has false statements. Her divorce lists that there were no children in this action, that there were no children in that marriage. Based on my speculations, the child was born in 2009. Unless she married Ferguson after the baby was born. But when the fuck did she get with Fidel then? So, based on my speculations, she was married to Ferguson before she met Fidel. She left Ferguson after she cheated with Fidel, got knocked up, and because the baby was biological Fidel's, she made a decision based on what she said in her letter that she was going to spend the rest of her life with the father of the baby. So, yeah. The baby can't be registered in Mexico if Fidel is not on the American birth certificate. That child doesn't have the right to Mexican citizenship if he doesn't have a Mexican parent listed on his original birth certificate, which would be the American one because he was born in Utah. He wasn't listed at the time because when he was born, she was married to another man. So she couldn't list him on the birth certificate. She would need to file a parentage suit, or he would need to file a parentage suit, or address it in her divorce documents that there was a child born during this marriage. However, this person's not the biological dad. This is the biological dad, and paternity should be issued here. And the judge would have signed off on it, and there would be a way to add him to the American birth certificate. I'm not saying he's not the biological dad. I don't know that, but I know he's not the legal dad. You are doing so much damage to innocent children. I'm just speaking on information she put out. I did not make these decisions. She did. I did not bring this information to the public. She did. So perhaps had she shared her truthful story, we wouldn't be trying to piece together things that don't add up. So putting our lives on the internet, our family lives, our children's information, his birth date, his story, the timeline. This is all information she shared publicly. So if she wanted to protect her child and any issue, then you should not have put it out there. I'm not responsible for information she has put out already. I'm just commenting on it because she misrepresented a lot of things. And I'm just a curious viewer. His mom was the one putting the child's information out. That's how we found his birthday, through her social media. That's how I found out when they met, through the interview she gave. That's how I found out when the child was born. So this is all information she has shared about her own child. So before you get on here telling me about the poor child, go tell his mom to stop exploiting his information for money. And then we wouldn't be here. We're just putting the pieces together. Collaboration con Live Lab. Oh, thank you. Love and let live. Oh, take your own advice. Love and let me live. Let me make my content about it. I'm not out there. I'm not bothering any of you or her. I'm just on here doing my thing. If people are so unhappy with me talking about it, why do you guys consume this content? Why do you contribute to the 6,000 plus viewers? The reason I'm still on here is because I still got viewers. The reason we've been on here for damn near 4 hours is because I'm monetizing and I have people watching, engaging, asking questions, watching this. If I didn't have viewers, I would have hopped off hours ago. And this is why Candice should mind her business, right? What did we learn, class? This is why we shouldn't throw stones out of glass houses. What did we learn, class? We should not call people dangerous criminals when we're sleeping next to one. What did we learn, class? If you don't fuck with Annie, she won't say shit about you. What did we learn, class? Maybe now Candice will stop trying to fuck with me behind the scenes. Maybe she won't, and we'll be here in another 3 months, and I'll expose another part of her chapter. Because every time she fucks with me behind the scenes, I expose something else. In October, it was the PPP loans. This time it's the hidden marriage, the paternity. Every time Candice has came for me behind the scenes, she ends up exposed for something else. If you know how I am, si ya saben cómo soy, para qué me buscan. I promise you there's more. There's more where this came from. This rabbit hole is very deep. So before you tell me, why don't you stop doing this, tell Candice to stop fucking with me. And then I won't have to get up here and fuck with her back. Okay? Because the same way that I'm going to grab Jimmy by the horns is the same way I'm going to grab Candice by the horns. I don't care how many followers she has. I don't care how beloved she is. I don't care how much hate I get. Do you know how many smaller creators have came to me? They want to make videos about this because they agree with me, but they're scared of her fan base. I'm not. Let's do it. Bring it on. I am tired. I am just as tired. I've been taking years of this behind the scenes fuckery. I just would love to be left alone by her and her fan base too. I would love to be left alone. If el sol sale para todos, then why don't you ever tell her that when she's out here? Oh, if Annie's there, I can't come. Oh, when she's publicly blocking my opportunities, my collabs, left and right, nobody tells her el sol sale para todos. In fact, you tell me she's asserting her boundaries. These are my boundaries. These are my very loud boundaries. These are my boundaries. These are my platform's boundaries. The same way you guys have said she's allowed to have boundaries. These are mine. These are mine. My boundaries are you should not lie to our audience. You should not exploit us. You should stop trying to appropriate our trauma. These are my boundaries. Okay? So those of you that are frustrated with hearing about this, go tell Candice to stay the fuck away from me. Stay the fuck away from people that I collab with. Stop asking reporters about me. Stop searching up what nonprofits are working with me. Go tell Candice, because as long as she's fucking with me behind the scenes, you will see me on here renewing this season every fucking time. Every time. Unapologetically. And if she's so scared of her, if she's so scared for her safety and Annie's so dangerous, tell her to go the fuck back to her country, where she's safe in Salt Lake City, Utah, where the government has actively worked to protect her and her children. If she's so worried for her safety of these dangerous criminals that live in Mexico and are on social media targeting her family, tell her to jump on a plane and get the fuck back to her country. And leave this shit for the Mexicans that have to live here. Okay? Thank you. Come again. Hi, name Machiatto. Alright, guys. Why would you reach out to another content creator when they're reaching out to you? She reached out to content creators that I was already publicly collaborating with. So don't tell me she's just asserting boundaries and doesn't want to be tied to you, because she went after creators that were publicly working with me first. But then she flips the script and says, I don't want to be on the same news article because I have boundaries. Bitch, you have no fucking boundaries. Get the fuck out of here. When it's convenient, she has boundaries. And then when it's not, I'm going to reach out to everyone she's worked with. One thing's for sure, two things for certain. I guarantee you, Candice regrets reaching out to those people I was collabing with. Yeah, because now look, PPP loans are out. Mr. Ferguson's out. Extra family is out. Trump supporting family is out. A lot of things are out. So, I am very unapologetically messy. I am not the bigger person. I am messy. So if you don't want me to be messy, if you don't want me to dig, if you don't want me to expose, if you don't want me to defend myself, don't come for me, because all of this has been me on defense. I didn't go looking for Candice. I didn't go searching. I didn't go blocking her. I didn't go telling people none of that shit. I wasn't venting about her. I wasn't calling creators crying about her. That wasn't me. I was minding my business, doing my thing, little HOA here, little baby daddy drama over here, a little, doing my thing, okay? So if you're tired of hearing about this, go tell Candice to stay the fuck away from me. But as long as she keeps merging into my lane, I'm going to be grabbing that bitch by the horns. Would you fight her in court? I love me a court fight. Okay, before you guys start insinuating anything, I have a documented pattern of being a non-violent, confrontational person in court. So before you paint that she's dangerous and she's aggressive and she wants to fight me, blah, 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 I will fight people in court. That's it. I'm not a violent person. I don't pose a threat to nobody's safety except for with public records. Your lane, you don't own the deported niche. I own my platform. That I do own. I own my story. So when I say my lane, I'm doing my thing. I'm making my content. I'm doing my collabs. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about my story. Okay? That's what I mean by my lane. No, I don't own the deportation niche, but I'm a big part of it. So I will be calling out people that exploit this niche for monetary gain. I will be calling out creators like Candice that take up so much fucking space through deceit and lies that people with real stories have no space. Okay? All right, besties. I'll catch you on the flip side. That's enough for today. 4 hours for today. We gotta go. Yeah, you won't see me till tomorrow. Okay? Bye, besties. We made $2.16 on that 4-hour TikTok live. Bullshit. Maybe I'll regroup a little bit over here with you guys. That was intense, besties. That was intense.